Too clever, but
too lazy.
All right, welcome to Too Clever, Too Lazy. It's your hosts, G Money, Gayla Walker, and stay the DJ Stephanie
Stay the fuck away from me.
In the house.
In the house.
Now let's go get some bitches. All right, so welcome to Too Clever, Too Lazy. It's our 12th episode now. We're trucking right along. You sound like you have something you want to tell us, though.
No, just go ahead. Welcome, guys. Episode 12. Hope you like what you're hearing so far.
Yeah, if you're back again, thank you, appreciate it. But yeah, it sounded like you had like a thought of the day you wanted to share with us.
My thought of the day, I thought this was kind of funny. If your life was a movie, what would the audience be screaming at the screen for you to do?
You got this from where'd you get this from? Was there any examples that you saw?
I think it was a reel on Instagram.
Okay. Did you read? There's any interesting comments or anything like that?
No, because sometimes the internet. I think that was a annoyed day with the internet. People are fucking annoying. So yeah.
Gotcha. Well, yeah, I don't know. I mean, probably people would, like stop procrastinating. Probably.
I know, just fucking do something.
Just fucking do it already. God, do you sit in that same
spot?
LaBeouf. I know, right? That is a motivating meme, though. You see, you're like, I gotta do. Really I don't know what I gotta do, but it's gotta be now.
Yeah, I gotta get up. Like he said, it's time.
Just do it. It doesn't even have to be anything. Just putting on your shoes and going down to smell the grass. But do it right now.
But do it. Get out. Go.
Yeah, so that's what I'd be shouting.
I know, that's kind of that might be kind of what mine is. Or like, God, she's having another snack.
They wouldn't. I don't think they'd be shouting that, though. They'd be like whispering that to each other, like nudging shoulders, like this bitch is going to eating again. Yeah, but I don't think they'd be like, stop eating. Stop eating. Don't do it again. Especially with like the amount of like healthy shit sounds like you put in your face. I think the crowd's not going to be shouting that.
That's true.
Yeah.
Because I am surprised I don't weigh. Yeah, like what you said.
We were just talking about this earlier. I'm like, every time I hear you
in our pre-pro meeting, I know.
Yeah, you're chomping on something, but you're not. You're somehow not like you don't have your own show.
Chomping at everything except for the bit.
Yeah, you don't have You don't have your own show on TLC or like your 500-pound life or whatever. So I'm proud of you, but
thank you.
Yeah, for keeping it healthy. These jokes.
So a woman sleeps with 10 dudes and she's a slut, but like a guy does it and he's Anthony.
Right. And you're going to confuse people because they're like, who the fuck is Anthony? It's also me. She's all.
I know. I call you Anthony all the time on the podcast.
Right. But then they look it up to go.
Well, yeah, Galen Walker. Like his name's so gay. Yeah, I know. Right, think I would call you Galen with how.
Right, but this isn't middle school
anymore. Your parents didn't even give you a chance.
Right. Middle school all over again.
Oh my God, I got called Step on Me. Like,
oh, you poor baby. Step on you?
And then my last name, they called me Maggot with a dill pickle.
That's good. I always pictured I don't know, I got high one time, whatever. And I just pictured your name. It's like two maggots under a bridge with like trench coats and sunglasses. And they're exchanging briefcases and it's like a mag deal. That's what I pictured. Yeah, that's like two maggots shady maggots under a bridge exchanging briefcases.
Shady faggots.
Yeah, there you go. Maggots, faggots, whatever letter you want to put at the beginning of it. That's a bullshit too. We can't say faggot anymore, but maggot's fine. Okay.
I know, it's just one letter. Yeah.
I know. Jeez. Anyway.
Well, I'm offended by maggots. Okay.
I know, right? That sounds way harsher when you hear it out loud.
But at the same time, I would like to remind our audience, just because you're offended doesn't make you right.
Yeah. Plus, I've never heard anyone be like, "Oh, I'm gonna go smoke a maggot." No. So it's only one thing. All right. So actually, this is I did want to do an update. This is good timing. So last week I talked about a
That's a lot of emphasis on the K.
week. That's why, yeah, I need them for sound bites later, dude. I need to make sure at the end of every letter it's very enunciated, just in case I need it for later when you cut off your letters. You know what I'm saying? So I gotta week
Weak.
last week. Oh, anyway, so last week I talked about this lady named Jillian Lauren, let's go on and talk about her, what she's done. She was written two award-winning memoirs. And not only that, what I talked about last week was that she unearthed basically the most prolific serial killer in American history. She 93 murders. She helped solve about 50 of them before they might actually end up dying. But for some reason, she keeps getting referred to as wife of bassist, but for the band Weezer, Scott Schreiner, right? And then the bassist,
Hey.
he wasn't even the original bassist. He wasn't there for Say It Ain't So. He wasn't on the Blue album. He wasn't there for Buddy Holly. He came out with Beverly Hills. That was his era. So
Yeah.
and so he's not even like, and the bassist, he's like the lowest member. In fact, the only reason I even know the name of the bassist is because of his wife, Jillian Lauren. But in the paper, she keeps getting referred to as wife of bassist. That's one hill I'm trying to,
I
but
know it's so stupid.
it's
Like,
stupid.
why do they reduce a chick to whatever the accomplishments her dude, it's
Right.
like, I know that's so stupid.
Right, bullshit. But anyway, why? Okay, but why was she in the paper in the first place, right? Well, I was scrolling, whatever, looking through shit, and I just saw this article and I saw her name and I was like, what? And it said that she was arrested for attempted murder. And I was like, at first when I saw that, remember that guy a couple of years ago who was on Family Feud? And he was like, they're like, what's one thing you regret most about your wedding? And he was like, saying I do. And they're like, oh, and then he ended up murdering his wife. Remember that?
No, I never heard about that.
Oh yeah, it was a big story. It was a couple years ago. This guy was on Family Feud with like Steve Harvey version, right? And one of the questions was, "What's the biggest thing you regret about your wedding?" And he said, "Saying I do." And then everyone was like, "Ah," but he was like, "Ah, that's just the answer. It's not what I actually said." But then like a few years later, it was right around the pandemic, like I mean, last 5 years. Within that, he ended up murdering his wife. Yeah.
Damn.
Anyway, so I thought it was gonna be one of those kind of cases, like, oh, she unearthed one of the biggest serial killers because she actually had serial killer predilections
Yeah.
in her own self. But no, that's not what happened. It's really shocking what happened to her. Actually, it's pretty much bullshit. And the most shocking part to me is that she's a semi-famous, attractive white lady. If this had been Shaniqua Johnson, I'd be like, that tracks. But basically, what happened is these police were chasing three hit and run suspects. Three guys, three male, let me say that, three male hit and run suspects. So definitely not some lady. They ran into her backyard. She was holding a gun. Now, why was she holding a gun in her backyard? Who gives a fuck, man? It's America, Second Amendment. You can stay strapped up in your
Exactly. Like,
backyard. You know what I'm saying? Like, there ain't
yeah.
nothing. That's okay. And it wasn't in her front yard. She wasn't like going to go check the mail with a gun. She was in her backyard doing who knows what. But they
Gotta get
busted up.
strapped, yo.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Anyway, so the police busted up in her backyard, chasing these suspects down, saw her holding a gun, shot at her multiple times, hitting her with one of the bullets, and then had the audacity to charge her with attempted murder. Like,
Jesus Christ.
blows my mind. And I don't know, they should be profusely apologizing to her and like setting up a GoFundMe to pay her medical bills, but they're charged with like attempted murder and she didn't, it's not like she fired the weapon at all either. So it doesn't make any sense that, this happened to this poor lady, the wife of bassist. You know what I'm saying? Like, no,
No.
she's a
Like the
fucking
fucking
two-time award-winning.
disrespect all
Right,
around.
right.
Yeah.
Just this poor lady, yeah, right. Just like, and yeah, the disrespect by getting shot at the police. Then she sees the article and she's mentioned as wife of bassist, blah blah blah.
Well, and it's
Man,
like she literally did their job, it was catching that serial killer guy, and then they're
right.
gonna do her like that,
I know, bro. I mean, he was already caught, but she solved a bunch of murders like that.
No, that's what I
He would
mean.
never,
Yeah,
yeah,
like,
yeah. She
yeah.
did the Lord's work, man. And and by the way, if you take if you take a look at her picture, she looks great for being 53. She's like in her
I
fifties. She's
did.
in her
Yeah,
50s, and she looks
yeah.
great. You're like, wow, like this lady got fucking shot by the police. This blows my mind. The world is ending, dude. Like, if this is happening, just to that's crazy. But I just want to give a quick update on that because we just talked about her last week, and then this just happened this previous week. I guess by the time this comes out, it'll be 2 weeks. But yeah, crazy timing.
I know that is fucking crazy. I know because I remember You sent me that first, I think, and then I saw it on TikTok. But I was like,
Oh, did you?
this isn't the first time either that we've talked about shit on here, and then like the next following. That's
Hmm.
usually what next week means.
Right.
The next week, the following week,
I get it. Yeah.
yeah, something will happen, with
Right.
that
Yeah. Yeah.
story that we told, or like there's an update, or yeah,
Right.
it's
Yeah.
crazy.
So that was just well crazy.
We're ahead of the curve, bro.
Right. Yeah. That was just crazy of the time. And then the thing is, like, nothing prompted me to talk about her last week. I just had a feeling I should. It's a story that I had in my back pocket that I know no one really knew about. So I was just
Mhm.
waiting, and then it's just the timing that I just decided to do it last week, and then this happens. It's just like, wow,
I know that's crazy.
pretty cool. But anyway, that's all. I just want to do again update. Her name is and I it's always confusing, but it is Jillian Lauren, not Lauren Jillian. So Jillian is the first name, Lauren's her last name, and then it's also Schreiner. If you like look it up legally, because she took her husband's last name. But I think for like some of her work, she doesn't have the last name, so just Jillian Lauren. Look her up.
Jillian Lauren.
Yeah.
Well, that kind of segues into I have some criminal stories.
Uh-huh.
I found this news story. This Utah nurse has been arrested because she's accused of murdering her patient. She's faked her patient's terminal cancer diagnosis to claim $1 million in her insurance policy,
Holy shit.
which is kind of strange anyway. I guess she got close to the person because she faked their cancer like, I don't know how you could do
Oh,
that.
okay. So they didn't even have cancer. She faked.
Yeah,
So
faked
she
all
faked.
of it. So the victim thought they had cancer.
Oh, so the victim didn't know though. So that wasn't they weren't in on it together. Like she had told them like, hey, you got cancer, and they're like, oh shit, but it wasn't true.
Yeah,
Is that
none
correct?
of it
Okay.
was true. Yeah, because even during the autopsy of the victim, there was no cancer. And the victim thought that she had terminal cancer, and the nurse killed her with a fatal dose of insulin, which is kind of creepy. Did you ever watch that one movie? It was on Hulu or something, I think, or no, it was on Peacock. It was about this nurse that would kill people with insulin. They would put insulin at random in IV bags and then like inject it in IV bags so nobody
Right.
knew who got.
Oh, it was just a Russian roulette of IV bags.
Yeah. And
That's nuts. No, I don't really remember. I mean, it sounds I've ingested so much content of like of that style, but
because it
no, I
came
don't.
out around the time that one movie about that doctor who was performing back surgery on
Right, right, right. Yeah, it was like
Dr.
that dude
Death
from
or some shit like that.
it was the dude from Dawson's Creek that did like
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, no, that was actually he's actually a pretty good actor. No, I did see that one. And then it's where they had like they had the reenactment documentary, but then they also had like the real documentary
Yeah,
that dropped at
yeah.
the same time. Yeah, yeah, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I watched both.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Both of
Okay.
them.
Both, yeah, yeah.
The nurse, sorry, I'm trying to scan this article to see how she convinced them that they had cancer, but it was somewhere in the art. Anyway,
She just emailed them, "Hey, you have cancer." They're like, "Oh shit." That's it. Yeah,
now
what yeah,
her
there had to be some kind of medical paperwork, right?
the victim's family told investigators that they had suspected Sundwall, the nurse, had been plotting to kill Terry for years. Detectives even located evidence on the victim's phone that showed a thread of texts beginning in December 2019 that matched the family's suspicions. Okay, so basically, the detectives found more than 28,000 texts of Sundwall,
28,000?
yeah,
Jesus.
of
Okay.
her convincing Terry to, quote, offering to help her die and discuss how Terry's deaths would solve all of her money problems.
Her own?
What?
Like she was texting her saying like, "Hey, I'm gonna help you die because your death will help solve my financial problems." Like that?
I I don't know whose financial
Oh, okay. So
problems,
it's yeah.
but
I mean, it
yeah,
wouldn't if it was yeah, you dying would solve all of your financial problems. Yes, that's okay. Yeah,
yeah.
true. But
And following Terry's death, Sundwall alleged deleting more than 900 texts from her phone and conducted a search for her life insurance policy. And
wow.
she convinced Terry to do a do not resuscitate order because she wasn't
Oh,
even terminal. She wasn't even
right.
sick.
Yeah, that's fucked up. Well,
Crazy.
so what was she giving her something to make her feel like she had symptoms or like what? Like, because if you told me I had cancer, you'd have to, I'd get
Well,
second opinion. You know what I mean?
I'm sure she convinced her to do chemo, which will make her feel like,
Yeah, it's true.
you
True,
know what
true.
I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Because I've heard
But
of many stories of doctors even doing that because they get a payback from
right,
pharmaceuticals doing
right,
it.
right, right. Yeah, yeah. That's why they're prescribing Oxy so hard because they're getting, paid
Oh
to do it.
yeah. Oh yeah.
But anyway, yeah, that's
Oh,
crazy though. So she convinced this chick that she had cancer, and then convinced her that the best option would be for her to die and not and have a do not resuscitate order, and she wasn't even didn't even have cancer. And
yeah.
then but then the craziest part is the $1 million life insurance policy to me because like for a cancer patient for them to be insured $1 million,
Oh, I
like
know.
how was that premium? Like how long were they paying on that? You know what I mean? Like was it real quick? Was she like, all right, pay the first two payments and then I'm good, or like what happened? Man, that's crazy.
See, the report stated that paramedics found a diabetic needle, but investigators learned that Terry was not a diabetic. She was then transported to Mountain Point Hospital in Lehigh. Paramedics found that Terry's blood sugar levels was 14, which is significantly
Hmm.
below 40, which is what 40 is normal.
Right. Yeah.
Terry was being treated in the ICU. The outlet reported that her sister informed doctors that Terry had terminal cancer for the last 4 or 5 years. However, Terry's primary care physician told the family she never had cancer. An autopsy would confirm the doctor's findings, revealing Terry never had cancer or any other major health problems.
What the fuck, dude?
Yeah, she was
What a
literally just
bitch, dude. She,
murdered for.
but in the worst way, like I'd rather just get shot in the face real quick than like go through all that.
Oh, I know. It's insane. Yeah.
That's some bullshit, dude. Like she just scammed a chick into like that's like the worst kind of scam, dude.
Oh, I know. It's fucking insane, dude. Yeah.
Wow.
I know that story is shocking. It's really sad. But anyway,
Yeah. So on a lighter note,
on a lighter note, let's talk about more criminals.
yeah. No, well, they do get a little bit more bouncy and fun. Nah, actually, no, we're getting pretty gross in a minute here. So never mind.
Well,
All right,
I thought it would be fun to talk about dumb ways criminals have gotten caught.
sure.
I found a list of 10 criminals who were caught by funny reasons.
Read them off.
The first one we have the Golden State Killer,
Mm.
DNA from his cousin from a cousin's genealogy test.
Yeah. I heard about that. What's the guy's name again? It's like some old Spanish.
They don't list his name. It's just the Golden State Killer.
Oh, I'm looking up real quick. Hold on. Go ahead. Keep going though.
Not exactly funny, but wild. Cops have uploaded crime scene DNA to GED match and a public genealogy site. A distant cousin had used 23andMe style test and it cracked the case.
Right.
That's actually really kind of cool, like it's a cool like have introducing the DNA shit to the public like that.
Right.
And
Yeah. That's, I
catch
mean, because
so
people
many
were
killers.
complaining. People were complaining about like, yeah, I'm just giving my DNA to the government, stuff like that. But yeah, this is like one of the first ones. But they've done it a couple of times now at this point where they've been able to match DNA based off of a family member submitting shit to like 23andMe or some kind of genealogy thing.
I've wanted to do one of those because yeah, seriously, everyone's like, "Oh, the government's gonna have your DNA," and I'm like, "I served in the fucking military.
Yeah, they got
They
it,
already
bro.
have it.
They got it on. They got
They
three or
got
four
everything
copies
on
of it.
me."
Right. I'm adopted too, so I've been really curious to do it, but just
That would be
it
dope.
ain't cheap. It ain't cheap, dog.
I know my dad got this really detailed one and
Yeah.
like talking like it might have been the 23andMe. I can't remember, but yeah, I definitely want to get one. It would be cool to do one for your daughter, like do one
Right.
for
Right.
yourself, for
By
your
myself, yeah.
daughter.
Oh,
So that
dude, and
she
then
can
but
know
I
her.
want to say recently that 23andMe filed for bankruptcy.
Oh, no way. I guess
Give me a second.
everyone's done
Hold
getting
on.
their DNA checked.
Yep. Like, I didn't even have to finish typing it in. It was like, yep.
Yep. Yep, here it is.
Let me read this little blurb right here. It says the genetic testing company, fuck you, 23andMe, which allows user to spit into a tube and send away the sample for the detailed DNA analysis, has filed for bankruptcy after a huge data breach. So they had a huge data breach. Less than 2 years after that, they had to file for bankruptcy. So 66.9 million were affected by this data breach.
Wow.
Yeah, so that means that like
So a lot of
there's
people's fears were kind of correct.
yeah. So yeah, that's like yeah. So anyway, but again, like you were saying though, you and I, it don't matter. They got our shit, dude. They got a couple copies of it. They got it saved if they lose one.
There's probably clones of us walking around
I
somewhere.
know for sure.
Yours is probably gay as fuck.
No, he's probably straight. That's what they a
I know.
bizarro gang.
They made a straight version.
Yeah, let's see what this one looks like. Let's see what that would look like. But yeah, so good. Next one. So
And his
that was
name's
a really
Straightlin.
yeah, no, dude. My friend, he had this like he said my alter ego because they used to call me Gay Land Walker, right? And he said my alter ego would be Straight Sea Roller.
That's fucking
I was like, that was great. I was like, I'll give it that one, dude. Straight C roller.
straight sea roller. I love that. I like how they went all the
They
way.
went every word, dude.
Yeah,
Like,
every
nope,
fucking
gay,
word.
what's the opposite? Land, what's the opposite?
Or gay air, or I mean,
Yeah,
straight
yeah.
air,
Yeah, straight air.
straight air
Straight
roller.
air, son. All right, but okay, so and actually that wasn't I don't know if that would qualify as a dumb reason though, That's an interesting reason, but as far as dumb reason, like
Okay, let me change it to because it says criminals caught in the most ridiculous
there we
ways.
go. Ridiculous ways is better. Yeah.
Ridiculous ways.
Ridiculous. We always got to go low voice with it too. Ridiculous ways. Like that's where I go to. It's so good though. It's the
It
perfect.
is. It works,
Ridiculous
Perfect.
ways. But anyway, yeah. So we're gonna instead of dumb reasons, we'll say it's ridiculous ways with a Z at the end. Ways.
No, it's with a Z. Did you say Z?
Yeah. What the fuck? Yeah. Z. Is that Z? Did you say Z? Hello. Did I hear a
No,
Z?
I thought you said C. I was like, why would you put a C?
No, I said. Well,
Wait.
yeah. C at the end. No. Z top. Zebra. Zulu. If for the military out there.
Xanadu. No, actually, that's an
Xanadu.
S.
I'm about to say it's not with an. Damn it. You caught your own
Anyway,
fuck up. Yeah, yeah,
next
yeah, yeah.
criminal is. I'm
Yeah,
sure
yeah.
a lot of people are familiar with how Dennis Rader.
Oh yeah, but sorry. By the way, the Golden State Killer, his name is Joseph James D'Angelo. That was his name.
I like that name, D'Angelo.
Yeah, for a serial killer, that's great.
No,
Joseph James D'Angelo is the Golden State Killer. All right, next guy. Now or lady. I don't want to assume genders here of criminals.
would you shut up?
Mhm.
PC bullshit. Anyway, the next one, I'm sure we've all heard how BTK Dennis Rader was
Right.
caught. He was caught with the floppy disk because he
Hmm.
used to taunt police for decades with his letters and all that stuff.
Right.
And he asked them straight up if they can track a floppy disk. And they're like, no, no, we can't.
What? How would we even use a Who even has that kind of technology anymore? You know what I mean?
It happened back in the fucking,
No,
like,
that's what I'm saying. Like, that's what they were saying. That's what the cops are saying. Like, how, a floppy disk? No, there's no way for us to be able to read that. Who even has that tech? Like, they were just like, we can't do that. Of course not. You know what I mean?
yeah, I get what you're saying.
All right. Well, anyway, go ahead.
No, 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 it's cool. Yeah. And so we sent it in. The metadata led to his church, and the file name was Dennis. Boom, arrested.
Right. Yeah, and it was like from his like church email or
Yeah.
from his church computer. Yeah, yeah. And
I
he was a
know.
deacon and all that shit. Yeah, yeah. Gross.
See, that's what's creepy too, is that guy, like some of these people, it's just like they look, I don't know.
They look like a person that you would be okay with coaching your kid or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like they look like I mean shit, even in fucking in Dexter, like Trinity, that season is the scariest season.
Right. That's why because he was so
Yeah.
he looked like such an
He looked
innocent.
so, and he was involved in the church, and he looked so
Right.
like friendly and happy and blah blah blah. And it's just like, man, the mask these people wear, and
It's wild. Yeah.
it's so crazy and it's scary, and especially like the torture part, it's like if you're gonna kill somebody, that's one thing, but to be tortured before you're killed, like that
Right.
just
And I think the Trinity Killer was somewhat based on BTK, I think.
I think you're right. Yeah. I want to say I read that somewhere.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I remember yeah, it sounds familiar. I could be completely wrong, but it
I know,
sounds
I could be
familiar.
too.
Right,
Yeah.
but whatever. Look it up, guys. We're too this is too clever, but we're too lazy to look that
Too lazy.
shit up. All right, so that's two.
All right, Anthony Garcia. He
Ooh.
applied to but boop.
There,
Sorry.
that's a hard place to apply to. I can't even spell the name.
He applied to the police department that was investigating him. A
Oh.
suspect in a cold case applied for a job at the LAPD. During a background check, his fingerprints matched the crime scene. He basically turned himself
the
in
fuck?
trying to be a cop.
Wow. You're like, can I get an application? No, but you can put these cuffs on. Or actually, he did fill out. That must suck, dude. Because like at least if you just turn yourself in, whatever. But he actually had to fill out paperwork to turn
And to
himself in.
submit his fucking fingerprints, like why
Yeah.
would you, like what do you think, where do you think those are going, bro?
I don't know, dude. That was dumb. Or maybe he just didn't think he left any evidence. I don't know, man. But
No, some of those people think they're so fucking slick.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And when did this one happen? Does it say when? Like around what decade?
It doesn't say no.
Because yeah, man, I mean, like the shit you can't get away with now. Like, man, like in the 70s, 80s, 90s stuff you could get away with that you just simply cannot get away with now. Like
I know
shit
you
wouldn't even
can't get
like
away with
exist as
shit
a crime.
anymore.
Yeah.
There's no anonymity anymore.
Not at all, dude. Everywhere's surveilled right now with some kind of camera, or like everyone has ring door. I live in an apartment. I have a ring
I
doorbell.
know
You know what I
ring
mean?
doors. Yeah, everybody has those for real.
So yeah, you're not getting away with shit, dude. I think I've seen things where like people like they did all this elaborate shit to try to like disguise that they were the killer, and then there's just like you can timestamp like footage of them going from like this place to this place to this place, just based off different cameras along the route, and then they can see that there's their car going right there, and then like oh, there's their car again. There's them pulling up across the street from the murder victim's house. It's
Did you ever watch Bad Sisters? It's on Apple TV.
who's in it?
Oh, good. It's so good. The only one I recognize, they're all Irish.
Oh,
But anyway, there's like, it's really nobody you'd recognize
right, not right on.
or like know their name, but like you'd recognize some of them.
Right, I've seen that face somewhere, but yeah, okay, gotcha.
But it's a really good show. The twists and turns in the writing is fucking flawless. It's so good. And there was a scene where they almost they this one okay, so they go out on this boat and they think this lady is like trying to, get them busted for something. And so they go out on this boat to talk to her. Well, she's like talking to them and then stands up on something, and then one of the dinghies hits her and she falls in the water and they can't find her, and like, whatever. And so it clearly looks like she fucking was murdered. You know what I mean?
Right, right.
Because one of the guys trying to help them clean up this mess
Mhm.
notices one of the doors had a ring camera, so he goes to the lady's
Oh.
house and like finds a way to get the footage.
Mhm.
And he gets the footage. But like, yeah, it shows them leaving with this lady and then coming back without her.
Right. Like
When
that.
when in reality she washed up too. So
Oh, so she wasn't.
yeah, she wasn't dead. And,
Oh.
and plus the way the show does its twists and turns, I didn't believe for a second that she was dead. I was like, she's gonna come back.
Oh, okay. It's one of those.
Yeah. But it's really good. The show,
I'll check it out.
yeah, it's on Apple TV.
I don't have that, but I have other ways to watched it, so I'll look it
Yeah,
up.
yeah. Apple TV. Oh, well, yeah, you have that torrent thing. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
Apple TV. Apple TV is only like $5.99 a month. That's one of my favorite. They have
yeah,
some good shit. Dude, Ted Lasso. Have you seen that one
yeah,
yet?
yeah, 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 yeah.
And it's coming back.
Yeah. Okay, you're the one who told me that. I remember someone telling me about it, and I was like asking everyone. I was like, "Hey, did you tell me about like Ted? I don't watch Ted Lasso." I'm like, "Who the fuck
Yeah,
told me about
it's
that?"
like
It
it's
was you.
been
Okay.
confirmed. Yeah, it's been confirmed that it's coming back on like the official social media pages.
Right. My wife's grandmother she came to visit. She comes like every year, and she came to visit one year, and we just like thought we spent like a full day just watching Ted Lasso because I'd heard about it, and I do like Jason Sudeikis. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, I'll check it out, and then we ended up spending like a full day, watch like season and a half in like one day. So
I
it's a
love
good.
how
I like it.
I love how every American to a foreigner has a fucking Southern accent. Like that's just America.
Right? Yeah, yeah.
All
That's how we.
Southerners.
That's how we all talk.
Yeah.
Hi there, boys. Yeah,
Wow.
no, but it's such
Well,
a,
hi.
it is a good show though. It is
It's so good. It's
I
fucking
thought it was gonna
hilarious.
I thought it was gonna yeah, I was like I went in there expecting it to be kind of lame, but it wasn't. So I will give it its just due.
I really like just the moments of inspiration. It's really cool. The next one is Jesse Dimmick. He sued his hostages for breaking a verbal contract. After kidnapping a couple, they escaped. He then sued them for $235,000 because they promised they wouldn't call the cops. The lawsuit drew attention and helped confirm his identity. Fucking idiot.
Who paid? They're like, we didn't actually get the killer's name. He's like, well, I'm gonna go ahead and file this lawsuit so you can have that information. Like, fuck.
You said.
You promised. Does a man's word not mean anything anymore? Jesus, what an idiot.
I love the morality.
I know, dude.
It's like, oh, that's where you're going to be
Wow.
that's where you'll stand on principle.
Right, yeah, yeah. All right, that's funny.
Anyway.
That one definitely whoa. That one
What?
definitely classifies as a dumb reason. Ridiculous, dumb. That one's all of them.
I know well, the audacity.
If men have anything, it's the audacity. All right, go ahead. Next one.
David Scott Gant. It's spelled
Ooh.
Ghantt. He is from the Loomis Fargo heist. I should look that up and because I love a good heist.
Ooh, heists are great. Yeah, we should do a heist at least a heist segment in an episode one of these days. We get like 4 or 5 heists in each. You know,
Yeah, I like that. Anyway, David Scott Gaunt. I hope I'm pronouncing.
Stamp it got gaunt. All right. No,
I
you said it
hope
right
I'm
though.
pronouncing that right, but who knows? From the Loomis Fargo heist, he left a trail of lavish spending. You know, that probably would be me if I
Right, yeah.
had the money. He
Shit.
stole 17 million in cash, then went on a spending spree with his partner. They bought luxury cars, a mansion, and they bought luxury cars, a mansion. They acted not very subtle.
Right.
Case inspired the movie Masterminds.
Right.
Oh, yeah, that Fargo, the robbing that truck.
Right. And then I did see that his partner was actually his girlfriend who was married. So yeah, not fucking, conspicuous at all,
Right?
just spending a hella
Conspicuous as
cash with a
fuck.
married woman who's yeah.
Yeah,
But the
that's
husband the
crazy.
husband's for sure gonna be like, what the fuck narc you out.
I
But
know
yeah,
that
this was
movie
like
was fucking hilarious.
yeah,
How fucking stupid they were.
did it have like Zach Galifianakis or something? Or not?
Yeah,
Yeah, it did, right?
yeah, it did.
Yeah,
And
that movie was pretty.
Kristen Wiig.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That movie I did. Yeah, that movie was pretty good actually. Wasn't bad.
Yeah, it was funny. I mean, it got kind of dark there at some points,
It
but
did. Yeah, it wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't. It was no Hangover. You know what I mean? Like you see Zach
yeah,
Galifianakis, you're like, oh, but yeah, he does do a lot of. He can go dark though. Or ever seen that show he has that Between Two Ferns?
yeah. I don't watch it, but I see clips of
I've
him.
seen enough of it to. Yeah, there was a movie. He made a movie too. I think I saw the movie, and I've seen enough clips to to get the gist. It's
I know
funny.
there's
It's
some.
uncomfortable.
I see the reels, like the outtakes and shit.
Right.
Like there was one you could tell Matthew McConaughey was high as shit. Like
Right.
he's so fucking stoned, and Zach was just cracking him up, and
Right.
it was really funny too.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
cracking
Is it
me
the
up.
one with the water pipe bursts?
I think so.
Yeah, yeah. There's the one I remember. There's one with I think it was Matthew McConaughey, and the water pipe like bursts, and it's just like it's flooding in with water. It's pretty funny. All right, but yeah.
Yeah. The next one is James Washington confessed on his deathbed, then he didn't die.
Oh, that sucks, dude. It's like that one episode of Seinfeld when the plane's going down. They start like confessing all kind of shit, and then it like it evens out, and they're like, oh, okay. And then they just confessed a bunch of like, or like one of them confessed and the other ones didn't. You know what I mean? Like
Oh,
think
I
like
thought
George.
that wasn't Seinfeld. That well, it might have been Seinfeld, but there was another show that did that. It was the Raising Hope.
Really? They got on a
Yeah,
plane in that show?
yeah. It was something they almost came into a bunch of money, and then yeah, I can't remember now.
It's fine. But yeah, but wait, yeah,
That's fine.
yeah, that makes sense. So yeah, we're getting way off. But I'm saying like, yeah, like yeah, it's all tying into this guy confessed to what was it, murder on his deathbed?
Yeah, in jail, he thought he was dying of a heart attack, and he confessed to a murder. He survived, and prosecutors used the confession in court.
Wow, kid. I mean, I would if you got a good enough lawyer, he could be like, under duress, man. I just made some shit up. I was nah. You don't say some shit like that if you're dying. Like that ain't real. You know what I mean? You don't make up.
Hallucinating, man.
Yeah, exactly, man. I thought I was dying. I saw Jesus. I started confessing the things I didn't really do.
Okay,
Got it.
so next one is Andrew McIntosh gave
Ooh.
himself away with a custom tattoo.
Okay.
The police were unsure of a suspect's identity until they noticed his tattoo matched the surveillance footage. A very unique face tattoo that sealed the deal.
A face tattoo. Okay. Idiot. I thought it was gonna be like
Get caught, you idiot.
yeah, he accidentally had his sleeve up too high and they saw one on his wrist. But if it's your face, dude, what are you doing? You can't do crimes and have a face tat. That's like you pick one.
I know, that's so stupid.
If you're getting a face tat, like crimes are out, or you have to be like the hardest, you like only murders. You have to kill all your victims at this point.
Or don't wind up on surveillance. Like,
Yeah,
wear a
yeah, and then
mask.
that's impossible at this point. Where you have to wear a mask and murder all your victims or whatever to get away with anything because cameras are everywhere now, sir. We just talked about this.
Dumb bank robbers who wore their hold-up notes on their own pay stubs, resumes, or mail. One guy used the back of his birth certificate. Another used his resume with his name, number, and address.
To do
Darwin
what? To
Award.
write to write the ransom or the bank teller thing. Like,
What?
it was like they used that as to write the note to the bank teller or something like
Yeah.
that. Oh God.
Fucking stupid. I
Right.
mean, you couldn't have found a receipt.
I was about to say, but at the same time, I mean, if it were me, I would just do that, but with someone else's shit. You know what I mean? And
There
then be
you
like, oh,
go.
we've caught the guy, and it's just like, my neighbor who doesn't pick up his dog shit. That was like my little gripe that no one, it's an inside gripe.
Oh my God. The next guy, Derek Mosley, tried to rob a gun store with a baseball bat. He walked into a gun store holding a bat, demanding guns. The store owner, already holding a gun,
Right,
detained him until police arrived. You
dude.
showed up with a baseball bat to a
To a gun
gunfight.
store. Yeah, for sure. Dude, I remember I went to a gun store probably like within the last year, and I was just looking, and there was like everyone in there looks like a bunch of like dork because it was like a pawn shop slash gun store, right? And everyone looks like a bunch of dorks. I start talking to this dorky Asian guy, and I go, "Hey man, what's up with that 1911? It's a 45, right?" And he's like, "Yeah, actually, let me show you mine." And he pulls out his and cocks it. He's got it on his hip, just like the most guy you would never think had a gun. Of course, they all have strap, and this is not some gun. This is like a 45 will blow your face off type shit. You don't go in there with a bat try to rob them.
I
That
know
is
it's
dumb.
so stupid. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
Um, Dave Nace.
mm,
Not nice. He's Nace.
nice, nice. It's nice.
Nace. It's Nace.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Go
Sorry.
ahead. He got stock. He got tripped up on the name, huh?
Yeah.
Nice.
All these
Nice.
jokes were flooding in my brain, and I'm like, do I say this with an accent now?
Yeah, I know. Do what you do. Do what feels right. Listen to the cards.
Yo, David Nace, he caught robbing the same store twice in one day. Robbed a convenience store, went home, then came back a few days later to do it again. The clerk already had called the cops after the first one and recognized him instantly.
You sound like a like the dumb crony. Like there's always like a small guy who's in charge and like a big one who's dumb and does all the. That's it. You're the big dumb
Yeah,
one right now.
yeah,
Yeah.
my
That's how you're going for. Does it sound like it?
my Italian guy's fucking stupid as
Yeah,
fuck.
he's very dumb. But he got the point across. So the guy robbed the store, came back. As you said, a few days later, or was it
No, he robbed the convenience store, went home, and then came back a few hours later.
a few
So I say
hours
days.
later? The cops weren't even like. So the cops were like just getting there.
Yeah, because the clerk had already called the cops after the first one and recognized him instantly.
Right. Of course. Did he have a face tattoo? Like
I know, right?
that kind of segues nicely into
Thankfully.
nicely, exactly. Yeah, that's perfect. It segues nicely into I saw this story and just the headline caught my
Yeah,
attention. I
you
was
like
like,
to read the headline, don't you?
yeah,
You faggot.
yeah, sure. Why not? One in Faggotville.
When
All
in
right.
Gay Town.
Yeah, yeah. That sounds like a fun town, though, for being
Or
honest.
Gayland. When
Hey,
in
that,
Gayland.
it's right there, dude. It's right there. Dude, there was this amusement park in my hometown called Western Playland. And there was like in the 90s, like you'd go home and there'd always be a song. And there'd be like, what would you do to go to Western Playland? And then some kid would say an example. He'd be like, I'd clean my room or whatever, right? Well, my friend decided to make up a song. What would you do to go to Western Gayland? And then all my other friends would give excuse like gay examples, like I'd blow my dad for whatever, and like that's what you would do to go to Western Gayland. And then like every time I'd come around the corner, they'd be like, what would you do to go to? That was like my elementary experience. Yeah. Anyway,
That's funny.
okay, so this lady's name is Sharon Kinne, and it says wanted for arrest in both Missouri and Mexico. Pistol wielding mama found hiding in Canada, Alberta, Canada, for over 50 years. Right, so
Wow,
that's the
50 years.
tagline. 50 years. All right. Sharon Kinne, she was born Sharon Elizabeth Hall in 1939 on November 30th. She was also known as Jeanette Pugliese and La Pistolera in Mexico, and Deidre Grace Glavis later in Canada, where she was finally found. Now, let's go ahead and go with what happened here. So, back in 1960, her husband was found shot dead in the head. He was shot in the head and he was dead, right? And at the time, she blamed it on her 2-year-old daughter, who she said would regularly was allowed to play with with her father's firearms.
Oh,
She said
okay.
she said she was in. I was in the bathroom. I was in the bathroom. What I heard was my daughter said, "Hey, Daddy, how's this work again?" And then bam, shot him in the head, dead. And the police bought it. They're like, I'm gonna post a picture of her. She's a pretty, is a Missouri in the '60s. They believed her. Like, of course, this pretty woman wouldn't shoot her husband in the face. It was obviously an accident, right? Well, 3 years later, in 1963, she found a dead body. Her and her boyfriend found a dead body. Well, the dead body was a woman who happened to be married to her ex-boyfriend. So she was dating a married man, and then she quote unquote found the body. They tried her for that, or they arrested her and charged her with murder for that. And then they were like, you know what? That whole your daughter shooting your husband in the face, we don't really buy that now. So they are charged her for both murders now, right? Charged for two murders. She actually gets acquitted for the murder of the wife. A jury of 12 men in 64 acquit her and say there's no way this lady did that. The murder for the husband goes to trial 3 times. Mistrials, jury, all that stuff. There was one she actually got convicted, but then they said there was some misconduct during the trial. So long story, she's about to go to a 4th trial when she decides to escape, leave Missouri and go to Mexico.
I love the random letters you put emphasis on.
Yeah, because I cut off letters too, and I listen to myself, and I know like words blend together, so I'm trying to really enunciate more. I'm trying to grow. But anyway, yeah. So she escapes Missouri, goes to Mexico. While in Mexico, pretty quickly, tries to rob a guy. Because this is the '60s and a woman doesn't have a lot of autonomy, didn't have a lot, she didn't have a big bank account she could draw from. So she tries to rob a guy, shoots and murders this guy who was actually a Mexican-born American citizen. And then his homeboy comes out to see what's going on. She shoots at him too. He doesn't die, but she shoots him. Yeah. So now they try her in Mexican prison. When they do the ballistics on the gun, though, they find out it is the same gun that killed that wife, but she already got acquitted for that.
Oh, yeah.
So she for sure did that, but they couldn't double jeopardy. So anyway, 5 years into this, into her prison sentence in Mexico, she escapes Mexico and travels all the way somehow to get to Alberta, Canada, where she lives for the next 49 years until 2022 when she dies at 82. And then the following year in 2023, an anonymous tipster called the police and said, "Hey, I think this lady's been living here." And then they went into the funeral home and ran her fingerprints and were able to identify, yes, this was the same woman that was wanted for murders in Missouri and in Mexico, escaped prison. She lived a full life, had a husband and 2 kids. She Shawshank Redemption the fuck out of that situation, dude. Like, she did it.
Oh, that's crazy.
And the tipster didn't even say anything until a year after her death.
Wow.
So they're like, yeah, we won't say anything until after your death, eh? Canadians. Yeah, they're very nice over there. So yeah, I heard that and I was like, whoa, that's crazy. Like, she did it, man. And it's like, and I do feel there's somewhat of a double standard though, because like I personally am like, she's a badass. But if that was a guy, you'd be like, what a monster, we've got to catch him, We're like, she's a
I know, that's
badass,
what I was
dude.
thinking too, is she's a badass, but at the same time, well, she fucking killed people. Like,
Yeah.
like,
And she killed her.
Like, it wasn't like a crime of passion defending myself. Like,
No.
she did it very cold.
Yeah, she was trying to rob a guy and murdered him. She killed her ex-boyfriend's wife because he wouldn't leave. Apparently, what they said was that he wouldn't leave his wife. And then she started dating another guy, but then killed that bitch, And then like I said, they acquitted her because it was a jury of 12 men, but then they realized the ballistics matched, So
Like, oh shit.
fuck, we can't do anything now though. And then especially and then they called her La Pistolera in Mexico, which is like the gunslinger. She was just fucking. That's a cool name. Badass fuck. I mean, so I'm like, if it was a dude, I'd be like, oh fuck this guy. But the fact that it was I don't know, for some reason it makes it like kind of badass.
It makes it way cooler.
Right? Yeah, that she's just because like you don't, especially in the '60s, women were pretty like men would beat their wives and that was fine. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So like the fact that who knows what her husband was doing. To cause it for her to shoot him in the face and then blame it on her. But that also is kind of fucked up too, that her daughter probably went through her whole life thinking she actually did kill her dad though.
God, I know, right? Yeah, that's terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's Sharon Kinne. It's Kinne if you want to look up some more about her. And I'll post a picture of her on the Facebook page too, so you can see what she looked like. And yeah, it's pretty cool.
I know that.
Pistol wheeling mama.
Pistolera. From inside your cup.
Yeah, I did.
I have a story that I found that I thought was fucking wild. There was this dad, he lost his 13-year-old daughter to suicide, and he called Telemundo and another news station to the cemetery because I think I can't remember, it wasn't like a funeral, but there was something they were doing at her graveside. And they showed him, he just wanted to call attention to it, to her death or something. Then his ex-wife showed up and, the cameras went over to her car and were trying to talk to her. And then on live television, as she's walking to her daughter's grave, he comes up behind her and shoots her in the back of the head and he kills her. And the reason is because his 13-year-old daughter wound up pregnant. She told her mom, and her mom blamed her for it and was like, made her feel like, she's a slut and she should
Right.
have been more careful. And like, why are you sleeping with my boyfriend? Or I mean, why are you sleeping
What?
with my man? You know what I mean? Kind of energy. And
Wait, see, my man, like, so he got her pregnant?
her stepfather got her
Got her
pregnant.
okay.
Yeah, and she told her mom, and
Right.
her mom just
Shamed her instead of being
yeah,
like,
shamed
fucking,
her.
you raped my daughter, you piece of shit.
Yeah, exactly. Instead of
He
having
was
your
like,
daughter's back like a normal
right.
fucking parent.
What the fuck, dude?
Yeah, and so the dad, yeah, so it drove her daughter to kill herself, and the dad, and
The
then
actual dad's one that
yeah,
killed her,
the
right?
real father, yeah, he killed her because
He blamed her for the daughter's killing herself.
you should like I
Right. No, I get it.
do, yeah. I commend him.
On live television. That's crazy.
Yeah, on live television this happened, but the video looks like it's from like the 90s, the 80s,
Okay.
late 80s, early 90s ish,
Right.
That's
Oh,
my story.
fuck, dude. That's crazy. Like, so, man. So I'm assuming that there is footage of it somewhere.
It's somewhere, yeah, because the video stops suddenly because they show the whole live video
Gotcha.
kind of thing when they're
Right.
telling the story, and then it stops. So yeah, I would assume it's got to be out there somewhere.
Right. Like, there's that video of that one senator who like shot himself in the face on like camera. Remember?
Oh yeah, I remember seeing that. There was one
Yeah.
time a reporter did that too.
Yeah. There's plenty of people.
I've seen stories of a reporter getting shot. I think it was like like a maniac's ex-boyfriend or some shit that
Really?
that
Huh.
either stabbed her or shot her. I can't remember.
And then I saw something. I remember there was one thing like the first time Trump was running, there was like some reporter, cameraman got shot on camera, but then they found out that it was one of those false flags, and like actually didn't happen. It was kind of like an attempt to like be like, we need more gun control type thing.
Oh God.
Remember that? That was so long ago. It was like at least 8 years ago or something like that. But
I don't remember it, but it sounds like, yeah.
sounds reasonable. Sounds like it's probably
Sounds
something that
on
happened.
par with shit
Right?
people would do.
Fucking
Yeah. For an
Democrats. Fucking,
agenda? What?
yeah, it was definitely some Democratic. Why aren't they the donkeys? Yeah, they're the donkey fucking
They are the
asses.
jackasses, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, though. All right, so let's go to a. So since you and I we're not stand-up comedians, but we're kind of entering the comedy landscape. Would you say, right?
I would concur.
Right, because you're hilarious. I'm all right. So I
Oh,
think
well,
it's.
thank you. I'm glad you
I know.
finally got it right.
Right. I was trying to give you a compliment, but
No, you're hilarious too.
there it is. There it is. Mutual respect. All right, so I think it's good to know if you go into any kind of new avenue or new venture. I think it's kind of good to know some of the history, right? Have you ever heard of a man named Vincent Champ?
I haven't, champ.
Okay, Champ. Yeah, I do. I feel like a
Dude,
9-year-old.
by the way, last night when we were talking about this in Messenger and I called you champ, I swear to God, I didn't even plan it. That shit
Right,
was
yeah.
fucking hilarious.
Yeah, I know. It was good. It was good timing. I do feel like a 9-year-old you just gave a baseball glove to and rubbed his head. Like, there you go, Champ.
Have
But,
fun in Gayland.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, how can you not? But so Vincent Champ was a comedian in the early '90s. He won the show Star Search. Do you remember that show?
Oh yeah, I think I remember this story you're about to tell. Yeah.
Right. So yeah. So anyways, for those of you who don't know, Star Search was this huge like nationwide talent competition that they would televise, and Ed McMahon was the guy who hosted, the guy who gives those big checks. Do you know he never worked for Publishers Clearinghouse, by the way? It's one of those like Mandela effect of things. He did like a competing version of it, so he actually wasn't with Publisher Clearinghouse. It was a competing version that everyone thinks. that everyone thinks is Publishers Clearinghouse. Before we get, I'm gonna get way off topic here, but yeah. So anyway, Ed McMahon, Star Search, he won it back in like I want to say 1993. Vincent Champ did, and it's $100,000 prize, right? So that coupled with the fact that he was a clean comic, he was crushing the college circuit. Right, and you can actually look up one of his some of his material. He's not. I would say it's not quite like a dad jokes, more like a dirty uncle kind of jokes, like the one that your mom's like, I don't know, I guess you can hang out with him, but like you stay in.
You
Yeah,
know?
yeah, that, yeah. Dude, that was like exactly. He does that. He goes, that's a, like that's his laugh and everything. And the saddest part is he's a black guy. I was like, God damn it. Because you say, but you hear him, he sounds.
That's racist.
Yeah, well, it's true. But anyway, he's like what he sounds like. He's like hello there. Well, anyway, so throughout the '90s, he was cleaning up the college circuit. Come to 1997, no pun intended, he gets arrested for an attempted rape. Right now, what happened was one of the students reported that she was attacked from behind by a man in a mask, and she was able to scream and fend him off enough so he ran away. So she didn't get a good description, didn't get a good look at him, but she just wanted to report it. Well, coincidentally, across the campus, so there were some students that heard someone scream, and then they saw a guy running to his car, so they with a mask on. So they decided to take down that license plate and they reported it. So you mix those two together, they arrest this guy on an attempted rape, but it's attempted rape, whatever. So he bails out and then he dips out for like a few weeks to the Virgin Islands or something like that. Anyway, he ends up coming back. When he comes back, he gets arrested again on an actual rape. And as they're booking him, his touring man, I want to say it was his touring manager or one of his managers was talking to the police, and they go like, "Hey, isn't that weird that all those rapes you got going on happen to match his tour schedule like perfectly?" Like I'm looking at this giant board of rapes he got going on, and I'm looking at the dates and locations, and like it's like our itinerary is right up there. It's matching perfectly. And they found out this guy, that's what he was doing, was he was going to town, city to city, doing a comedy show during
Dude,
day.
what if I wonder what if
Raping
he
at night.
found some of his victims in the audience and like stalk, you know what I mean?
I wouldn't doubt it. And then the weirdest part too, after he would rape them, that's what he did. He would tell them, he would start crying and tell them to pray for him. Pray
What
for
the
me.
fuck?
Yeah. Well, anyway, this guy, he was convicted of several rapes, and he got convicted like 49 years in prison.
Good.
For yeah, good, yeah. But he was just imagine he was just going campus,
I know,
and
that's crazy.
it's one of those stories too I've heard like mentioned or referenced a bunch of times, but as far as like who all the details, I'd never really. So I looked it up one day and I was like, oh, okay, now I know. Vincent, it's like it's Vinson, Vincent, and then Champ, and then yeah, you can look up his comedy. It's surprisingly not that bad, but knowing that he's a rapist, it really ruins it for you. You're like,
Yeah.
I can't watch this.
Like,
But
I'm
yeah,
not gonna laugh at you.
no. I might use that later, but I'm not gonna, what I mean? So, but yeah, no, he is.
Is it okay to steal bits from a rapist? Ugh.
I don't know. But I mean, he's not using them anymore unless he's like doing prison sets. That's the only thing I can think
I'm
of.
gonna know.
Yeah. But yeah, that's fucked up, dude. Yeah,
It
he's
is.
going throughout the '90s. He was going, but the good news is he's not set to get out anytime soon. Because another thing too, I feel is like they don't give enough time sometimes. Some of these rapists, like they especially back in the day, like they've gotten better at it now. But back in the day, they would give like shockingly small
Well, yeah.
credit to rape. You know what I mean?
But the fact that I think he's like multiple counts is why he has the sentence that he does is because they stacked this
Either way, I'm glad.
count
Good.
of rape. Yeah, because it's like each one gets like this many years. So when you stack them all together,
Right. So they did it consecutive instead of concurrent, because consecutive is like once you finish this one sentence, you have another one coming up instead of being like you have, 7 different 7-year sentences, but they're all running concurrent, means they're all running at the same time. So even though you have 12 7-year sentences, you only got to serve one 7-year sentence basically. But they didn't do that.
that's bullshit.
They went consecutive, which means like once you finish the 7th year sentence, your next one hits, and then your next one hits or whatever. So
Huh? I didn't know they did that. That's kind of bullshit.
yeah, they can go. Yeah, they can run. Because I mean, like, say for instance, like you got like a teenager who like robbed somebody with a gun, but like no one got hurt. So they got like they got robbery, they got a gun charge, they got all these kind of charges that would equal up to like 72 years if they add them all together. But they're like, we're gonna give you all these, and then if you happen to appeal one of them, you still got this other charge there to back it up. So you're still gonna do time, but we're not gonna make you do 72 years because you're a teenager who robs made a mistake or did some dumb shit. So
Oh,
I do see the reasons behind both,
no,
but
that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense.
yeah,
But
so
like
I do
heinous
see it though.
crimes, they better not be
But
doing that
but
shit.
if you're a 30-something-year-old man who's going around like raping people that you fight, no, you do the rest. You don't need to be out. We don't need you anymore in society.
Yeah.
I saw this article as I was just scrolling through, and it definitely made me go like, get the fuck out of here. All right, it definitely made me go like, I've got to bring this up. So, a robber who broke into hair salon is beaten by its black belt owner and kept as a sex slave for 3 days, fed only Viagra. So, a Russian man who tried to rob a hair salon
I mean,
ended
hang
up.
on, sorry.
Yeah, yeah.
He first fucked up by just breaking in to somebody who's a black belt. Like
Right, right,
that's right where he
right.
fucked up. Like that alone is a good fuck up, but it just keeps getting better.
Yeah, yeah. And then here's the thing too. Before I get into it, it's definitely one of those things where it's like a double standard, because like, but if that was a man, if it was roles reversed and some chick broke in and he
Oh
like
yeah, and she became a
kidnapped her, and
sex
raped,
slave and
yeah, that'd be cool. But like the reason, like, because here's the thing, he broke in with ill intentions, dude. And had she not been a black belt, who knows what he would have done to her, what he was
right?
planning to do to her. So I mean, like, she tables are
Like
turned
I
like a
made you a
motherfucker.
sex slave before you made me one.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. Yeah, like I remember, I forgot where I heard this, but like someone was like talking about going to prison, and he's like, if I ever go to prison, I'm gonna immediately try to rape people back. If they try to rape me, I'm just gonna try to rape them back, and then word will get around that I'm a difficult rape. Like, yeah, dude tries to rape you back. It's crazy. But anyway, like, so yeah, so a Russian man who tried to rob a hair salon ended up as the victim when the female shop owner overpowered him, tied him up naked, and then used him as a sex slave for 3 days. Victor Janitsky, 32, admitted to police that he had gone to the salon in Mesh, somewhere in Russia, with the intention of robbing it. But the tables were turned dramatically when he found himself overcome by owner Olga Zachik, 28, who happened to be a black belt in karate. She allegedly forced the would-be robber with a single kick. She floored him with a single kick, fucking roundhouse him like fucking
Nice.
Chuck
Yeah.
Norris style. Then in a scene reminiscent of Quentin Tarantino's Pulp Fiction, police say Zachik dragged the semi-conscious Jasinski to a back room of the salon and tied him up with a hair dryer cable. She allegedly stripped him naked and for the next 3 days used him as a sex slave to quote unquote teach him a lesson, force feeding him Viagra to keep the lessons going. The would be robber was eventually released, with Zachik saying he had learned his lesson.
That's
Then,
fucking funny.
then this motherfucker went straight to the police and told them of this ordeal and that he had been held hostage, handcuffed, and fed nothing but Viagra. The police said, "This is Russia. We do not do with this," and they wiped their hands of it. No one got arrested. They're like,
Yeah,
"Fuck
fuck
it."
that bitch. This is
Yeah.
Russia.
We're like, we're not arresting him. We're not arresting you. We're just gonna wash our hands of this. You guys
You
handle it.
guys canceled each other out.
Yeah, pretty much. You guys cancel each other out. I don't know why you came to the police to get the handcuffs off, because that's all we're gonna do here. And then yeah, so like that's like, not wild, dude. But yeah, that's fucked up though. Like I said, if that was a guy and a girl broke into his house and he tied her up and raped her for 3 days, that would be a different story. But for some reason, I'm okay with this.
I know. I'm actually okay with it too.
Yeah. That's what he gets. Well, because again, like I was saying, what was,
Whoa.
yeah, I was like, I like had to like start my vocal cords.
You had to kick guitar.
Yeah, exactly, dude. But anyway, like I was saying, what were his intentions when he like, if had she not been a black belt in karate, like would he have ran into her and then raped her or beat her up or murdered her? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
What were his,
right. For real.
just and then the fucking the bitch ass move to go to the police afterwards. Like, dude, no, just you take that one to your grave, bro. You just like you chalk that one as a loss. You know, I fucked that one up. Maybe I should vet places first and make sure their owners don't have any kinds of karate attire. Make sure they don't have any ninja stars hanging up.
Right. Maybe vet your victims a little better.
Yeah, yeah. Come on, dude. You fucking lazy ass fucking criminal.
Lazy criminal.
That's what you get for being lazy. You get raped for 3 days, I guess. Jesus. Yeah, but I don't feel it was a rape. I feel like and then she's not that bad looking too. I wonder, and then maybe he enjoyed himself, and he has a story. He definitely has a story.
I mean, he's pissed. That's why he turned her in, like the little bitch.
Yeah, exactly, dude. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's a bitch ass move, dude. But yeah, anyway, like I said, like
Bitch move.
yeah. Am I the hoe? But yeah, anyway, the cops didn't arrest
It is. It's like,
either of them.
yeah, no, you're not the hole. She's
No,
the
you're
hole.
not. Yeah, yeah. Which that is kind of a who is the hole in the story. He started though. She would never done all that if he hadn't tried to break in there and rob her. So
Well, we
his
could use
actions
the
will cause
loophole.
this.
We could use the loopholes with your holes.
There you go. Jesus, I like it.
Anyway,
Yeah,
stupid.
right. So that's my that's the article I saw, and I was like, whoa, got to bring
I
that
know
up.
that when you said that to me, that was my reaction too. I was like,
Yeah,
what?
yeah.
We partnered with Atrubian. They make soaps, lotions, oils, all the good stuff for your skin.
Your hair and everything like that. And I do remember that when we first got into this, we did tell ourselves if we somehow manage to get a sponsor or any kind of sponsorship, we're not just going to do it just because they're offering us something or money, product, whatever. We're only going to sponsor things that we truly believe in. And I gotta tell you, when I got these Atrubian products, I do truly believe in them. The box, you open up the box, it smells amazing. All the products, my wife loves it, my kid loves it. I'm a body wash guy, and I switched over from the body washes to the soap.
I really love their lotions and oils. I use their oils in my hair a lot, and I use them, for my skincare routine. I really love their stuff. I am really picky with soap. I have really sensitive skin, and their soaps are amazing. The lotions feel so good. My skin is like butter. It's like, I just love it. I love how soft I am. And it's really great because they use natural products. The only ingredients are coconut, MCT oil, argan oil, jojoba oil. That's it.
Yeah, and it was pretty great. My daughter is learning to read, and she could actually pretty much pronounce every product, every ingredient in this product. So there's nothing that those big long names you can't pronounce. You don't know what it is. It's all natural.
Oh yeah, we love it. It's
We love it.
amazing. Yeah, and the scents are just amazing. So head to atrubianproducts.com. Use code TCTL10 for 10% off your order with Atrubian. Nourish your body, awaken your spirit. They promise to deliver the purest, most natural health and wellness products using only the best ingredients and no harmful chemicals. They are committed to providing honest, high-quality products that help you live a healthier, more authentic life. Head to atrubianproducts.com. Use the code TCTL10 for 10% off your order. With Atrubian, be a true being.
But yeah, reality is pretty crazy nowadays, especially with things like that happening. So next, shouldn't we talk about some crazy reality?
Yes, I found a story that really, it was very interesting. I kind of wish I had it for that segment a couple weeks ago about crazy reality stories. But there's this story of this guy named Paul Evans, and he went into a medically induced coma and lived this whole life in Singapore. And it was very detailed. He was able to, tell you about the products that he used, the route he had every morning to work. So while he's in this medically induced coma, his family goes to visit him, and in the Singapore life, his father died and he buried him, and in real life, his dad was at the hospital visiting him and saw his son laying in his hospital bed and he was crying. And they were thinking that's when in the dream world that his father died. And so it was like this glitchy Matrix moment.
So where is he? Where's his real life at?
I think it's in America because he's white, and
Oh, okay, okay.
and his name's Paul Evans. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah, it
not
sounds
like
very
a foreign-y name. Like I'm pretty
right.
sure it's American.
Oh,
But
that could be British too. Evans, I could see that.
yeah, that could be it.
Yeah. But either way, he's not. It's not like India or like China somewhere.
Yeah, he's not like ethnic or anything.
Right.
Yeah.
What was that thing you sent me the other day? Like exotic? They're trying to figure out the word. That was good. That was great.
The way how he got there though,
Yeah.
I'm like, you know what? That is
That is solid, dude. Solid way to get there.
It was very
It's
solid.
like fancy, but in the jungle.
But in the jungle, I know it was so good.
Anyway.
Because he has this job at like this virtual reality place or whatever. While he was at work on a team that was building this new virtual reality game, there were complications with it in the virtual world, and they're like really trying to push the limits of what they can do with the technology. And
Right.
he ends up getting trapped inside it one day, inside the simulation. So it's like Inception. He's just like trapped inside of
Fuck.
it. He gets to this space and it's like this TV screen almost, and he could see the people on the other side, and he's like trying to get through it. It's like this membrane almost. And he's able to pierce the membrane and peel it back. And that's when he woke up from his coma.
Wow. That's
Right?
fucking gnarly. So he actually like almost physically pulled himself out of his own, like, that's wild.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
And
he, but it was mentally, but he like had like, there was an actual, because I've heard people coming out of comas and like, there's different ways, but like, yeah, like that's an interesting way that he actually was able
well,
to
and
like,
what's kind of shitty too is his dad in the real world is still alive. So it's like he's got to bury his dad twice.
yeah, well, yeah, I guess it kind of sucks. But yeah, but the other dad wasn't as, it was like the where was it again?
In Singapore.
Singapore, yeah. So he had an Asian father that he had to bury. And how long was he like in this other? Did it feel like he was in this
Didn't
other world?
say he was just in this life. Like he was just, he had a job, he had an like he
Right,
was
had a
living
whole
his
thing.
life. So who knows,
That's fucking crazy, dude.
Oh, yeah.
So you know the movie The Matrix, right? Well, okay. So you know how the end, like there's like the Matrix world, and there's like the real world where they
Yeah.
when they unplug and they're in the real. Well, the original script for The Matrix revealed that the real world was actually just another layer of simulation, and then it was just a backup just for all the people that they knew were going to figure out that this was a simulation. They did a backup simulation, but the studios were like, America, the audience can't handle that, dude. There's no way. So they scrapped that idea and
It's too
made
much.
it like right and made it more like But then now it's interesting that video you sent me the other day is like kind of explaining that. It's saying like, yeah, it's always been a simulation. Just like the simulation that you're created is now able to show you how good simulation can be.
I
Wow.
know. I knew you would love that. Like, watch this, give this a chance. Because I sent you two of those videos. They're really good. Like it. Yeah, I wish I could have put that in our AI episode because it was very interesting.
Right. No. Like I said, I'm always open. I never think that I fucking know for sure the answer. I'm very critical of
You always
myself.
watch everything I say. Yeah, when I'm sending you crazy shit, you always watch all of it.
Yeah,
And
I do. I get to it
times you're
eventually.
like, I don't know about that, and other
Yeah,
times, yeah.
yeah. I mean, yeah. Of course, there's gonna be. I'm not just gonna be like, yep, that's real. Yep, that's real for everything. I'm gonna have some doubts and shit like that, but it's good. It's good. It's
I gotta
healthy.
argue about all of it.
I do, Gemini. But here's the thing. I will die.
Gemini.
I will die on this hill. I am a May Gemini, and there's a difference between us May Geminis and those damn June Geminis, dude. Those motherfuckers different. They have less of a filter than we have that extra layer before we say exactly what we're
Oh,
thinking.
you
We have
guys
that
are more likely to be murdered because you piss people the fuck off.
June Geminis, not May Geminis.
Oh, you Gemini.
No, just there's a difference between
No,
May
but there
Geminis
is because
and
I'm a
June
November
Geminis.
Sag. I'm a November
Right.
Sag, and there is a difference between me and no, we're all crazy.
No, no, I'm not saying that. Listen, all Geminis are quite crazy. We have contradictory thoughts within our heads. The thing is, when I have them, I give me there's like 2 more seconds I go before like that's crazy. I shouldn't say that. But with June Geminis, I know I live with two of them. They don't have that filter. They just go like that's the right thing to say, and then they later on they go, yeah, that was pretty crazy, huh? I'll give you an example. Andre 3000, May Gemini. Kanye West, June Gemini. Okay. So, well, moving on. Next thing.
Yeah, because we have a lot of glitch in the matrix and some crazy glitchy stories. So we're gonna get real weird. Go.
About to get weird. All right, so let me tell you about this shoe factory disaster. It was the R&B shoe factory, not to be confused with CMC Music Factory.
It's like R&B, huh? So it's like, ooh.
Wait, music take control.
Are there guys with open shirts dancing
Wait.
conveyor belts?
Exactly, yeah. With like the 90s like almost like wrestling outfits, like high school wrestling outfits, leotards. But
Reatard.
anyway, okay. Yeah, offensive.
Oh,
I actually meant like it actually sounded like I did think it was offensive. All right, so anyway, the R&B Grove shoe factory disaster. It happened back in March of 1905. This is located in Boston, Massachusetts. At the time, they had 35,000 employees making shoes, right? And so that the business got so good that they had to build a fourth floor. And originally they had a big boiler that heated the entire building. But once they built this fourth floor, they got a new boiler, a newer, fancier, more adequate boiler. So the old boiler just kind of sat there out of commission, right? Well, it was a particularly cold day, and the new boiler was being cleaned or maintained somehow. So they had to fire up the old boiler, which was downstairs on the bottom floor. One of the guys started filling with coals for the day shift to come in to keep them warm. And anyway, like then he left. He filled the shit with coals and left. And then the main supervisor of the whole thing, he called up the boiler room and was like, "Hey, what's up with these noises going on the walls, man? The pipes are sounding really weird." And then the guy down there was like, "Everything's fine. Don't worry about it." Right. A few minutes after that, the boiler exploded and it rocketed from the bottom floor all the way up through all four floors, through the ceiling. When it hit it hit a water tower that was completely full on the other side, collapsed. It fell, collapsed the entire side of the building. So the building started to pancake. Now, with the hot coals that flew from the boiler room, they started flowing all over the debris, and there was gas lines that were like flame, like when you take a hair sprayer and the lighter, it was like that. The gas lines were hitting the flames. Now the floors, to prevent dust, were all treated with linwood, which is basically kerosene. So the floors were treated with kerosene for 30 years. Flammable material. So they started shooting flames everywhere through these gas lines, basically creating flamethrowers, covering the entire building. The people that weren't trapped or blown up by the initial boiler and then trapped by the collapsing building were able to escape through fire exits. But some of them had to jump out of the building because the fire exits collapsed with the building. Jeez. Then on top of that, behind the whole factory, there was this wooden shed filled with like gasoline-like barrels. So those barrels that wasn't gasoline, but it was like the cousin of gasoline. So very flammable material that exploded, and that started shooting just sheets of fire. So when the ambulances and stuff were starting to show up, they couldn't because there was just shoots of fire being shot at them. So this was this crazy disaster. It killed like 58 people, 105 or 150 were injured. But the most interesting part to me was the story inside the story. So there was a man, doesn't say his name, but he reportedly left the area with a head injury. Like he wandered off from the area after it happened, and his whole entire family thought that he had been incinerated because they couldn't find his body. What he actually did was, I don't know why, but he realized that he didn't have a job, so he went and applied at another shoe factory, got hired on the spot, worked an entire 8-hour shift, and then went home and was wondering why his family was like distraught. Like, what's wrong with you guys? I was at work. So what a work ethic on the man. He after the whole factory exploded, he was like, I still got to pay bills, dude. And then he went and then they found out he had a head injury and had no idea what was going on, but he still built some shoes.
That's a wild part of the story is like he gets a head injury. Well, maybe I guess the head injury would cause him to be weird like that because that's just weird. What? I'm gonna leave this job and just immediately go get another job.
Yeah. He would. You wouldn't think he would like go sit down in a bar for a second or like
right?
sit on a bench.
Process what just happened.
Yeah, he's like, I need that. That's how bad the early 1900s were. Like, fuck, man. My old job burned down. I got to get another job immediately. Like if my job blows up right now, I'm taking the month. I'm taking the rest of the month off.
Mm-hmm.
But this guy was like, I need another job immediately.
An excuse that I'm gonna do.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's a good excuse. Like, hey, like if someone's like fucking loser, unemployed, like, yeah, my fucking job blew up. You know what I mean? So like,
my fucking job blew up.
yeah, and not like in the cool way where like, oh man, they're making tons of money now. Check out their Instagram page. No, literally exploded.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah,
but that's my crazy.
Yeah, that's the start of this like glitches in reality and glitches in the Matrix. That was the first one that came to mind. But yeah, glitch in the Matrix story. Do you remember that show, The Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt?
Are you kidding me? I love that show.
Right. Yeah. So okay. So the first season was great, and I remember I texted you, and I got you to watch it, and you're like, this. We're both. So the second season, I was really excited for. I was waiting for it. Right. I was excited, and then it popped up. I saw it like pop up on and only streaming service I had at the time was Netflix. My parents did anyway, and then they had cable. So I was on Netflix. It popped up. I was like, hell yeah! I was super excited. I was like, when I have my day off, I'm gonna watch it. So like 3 days later, I start watching it, and I had seen that season before. Like I knew the jokes that are coming up. I knew the next scene. I knew like, and it wasn't just the first. I thought maybe I'd seen the first episode, but it was the whole season. And I was like, I've seen this before. And then so I was like, I was like, maybe I was trying to figure out where I watched it. I looked it up, and sure enough, it just got released on Netflix like 2 days before I watched it. There's no way I could have watched it all, but I knew like punchlines. I knew like what the next scene was going to be. I'd seen it before, and it was impossible that I've seen it before because it had just come out.
Yeah.
And that fucked me up for like a while, and I'd forgot about it too. But like that reminded me, I was like, oh shit, I remember that one freaked me out for a long time. I was like, I'm 100% certain I've seen this before, and I wasn't on shrooms or anything like that.
For one episode, you could chalk it up to, oh, maybe I just don't
Right.
remember. But the whole season, yeah,
The whole season, yeah, because
too.
the first episode, I was like, maybe I did watch it, and I know, or maybe I did, or maybe I realized I thought this was season two, but I was trying to come up with any excuse, but then it was at the next episode, and the next, I was like, I've seen this whole season before, and there's no way I could have seen it before. I looked it up, and it just got released, like I said like 2 days before. I didn't watch any of it. And I was like, wow, that's fucking something's up here. But because I've had so many glitches in the Matrix kind of things, but I just chalk it up to like, I was like, I was doing drugs, or I was drinking a lot, or just my mind play. I chalked it up to like, whatever. It's my
Well,
mind playing tricks on me.
I have a story, but I don't know if you count it as a glitch. It's just something really fucking strange that happened to me.
To you? Okay, yeah.
But when I was a kid, but like I went with my grandpa and my cousins on this hike up this trail, and we were coming back to the house, and like my brother and like, because there's four older cousins. My brother and I are the oldest, and there's two younger below us, and then there's younger cousins, after
Right.
that. And my brother and the other two older cousins ran off, and I was staying back talking to my grandpa. Well, after a minute, I'm like, this is fucking boring. I'm gonna go find them. And so I run ahead, and the trail we were on, there was like this thicket of trees to the right, and then you go through that, and then there's another trail that goes, and that trail takes you to the house. And so I go through the thicket of trees, and I hear like footsteps. And so I was like thinking it was them, and I'm going to jump out and scare them.
Right.
And right as I'm ready to jump out, I swear to God, I felt like hands on my shoulders, like wait. And then right then, a fucking panther walks right in front of me, like maybe
Wow.
3 feet away. And this is in Utah, mind you.
Right.
And I
A
just,
panther, really? Huh.
I didn't turn my head or anything. I just saw it, and in my peripheral, I saw when it went by, and then I ran as fast as I could back to the house, and like nobody believed me, but like I know what I fucking saw.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't know if you would classify that as a
No, no, no. That's definitely yeah. That's I've had like a bunch of those weird ones, but like I said, like I was like, man, I would just chalk it up to like, was my mind playing tricks on me, I have so many like with doing shrooms where I'm like that. All right, but again, it's a mind altering substance. But
Well, it's funny you say shrooms because I had a super amazing acid trip one time
mhm.
when I was in San Diego. I was told about that. I was at the beach, and it was at night, and I was just watching the waves, and I was being reminded of that moment.
Mhm.
And that was like my initiation, and it's like my spirit animal kind of thing appearing to me. And so I
Right,
started looking up the symbolism of all of it. It was really cool.
the
But
symbology.
the symbology of the symbolism. But it was kind of because literally, like now I wonder if it was just a moment where like only I saw it because like panthers, like for me to clomp through the woods like
Right.
that cat would be hunting me and be aware of me.
Yeah.
You know,
Actually, there's no panthers don't really exist. They're just jaguars that
they have black, yeah,
right,
yeah.
are completely black. I didn't know that for the longest time, dude. I just found that like
Oh yeah, like you
last
can
five
go up
years.
to some of them and see the jaguar print under
Right.
like it's just a little thin fuzz.
Right.
No, I didn't know that either until I started looking that shit up. Yeah.
Right. I was within the last like since the pandemic I found that out, So
Oh wow,
in my
yeah.
30s, I didn't know that until like my 30s, so.
Yeah. I
But yeah,
didn't know that
interesting to
either.
know.
I mean,
Have you ever seen, I mean, you can go down a rabbit hole on like YouTube where they have like videos where like of like glitches in the Matrix where like there was one that's still to this day, and this is before like AI was able to do all kind of crazy shit, at least on videos, right? And there's like a couple of them. One that stuck with me though was like this dude was driving on the freeway, and but it's very a lot of traffic, and then this guy just appears out of nowhere in between both like the car in front of him, and like this comes up, it just appears on like the side of the curb of the road, and like he almost hits him and shit, but he just appears out of nowhere. And
Damn.
there's like a bunch of videos like that where like you can go down this whole rabbit hole. And then I saw this one story. It goes. I had a friend who was convinced something was wrong with the area between the nearby town and his home, or maybe it was his car. He claimed that many times he'd leave work and somehow be home 5 minutes later when it was a 15 to 20 minute drive. It was crazy. He wasn't the only one to experience it either. Happened to a few friends that drove with him. Definitely weird
Wow.
stuff.
And
Yeah.
yeah, because like I've heard of stuff like that where it's like there's like these time, like it's like a
Right.
vortex or something.
Right.
Because there was this one story I read, it was this street in London, and
Yeah.
they were walking down the street. They were, tourists, I think.
Uh-huh.
And, modern times, obviously, because
Sure.
time is now.
Right.
And as they start going down the street, suddenly all the cars parked on the side or driving by are like they're out of the 40s. And then people dressed look like they're from,
Right.
and then people, and then all of a sudden it's
Right.
like they look around and they're like, what the fuck? And then
Right.
they go back the other way and go back into the normal time. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, that's crazy.
Right. Yeah. Man,
Yeah, but
I want to start traveling more. What's going on out the world?
I don't want to
You know?
time travel though.
No, but I want to see, I want to see like if I wouldn't mind.
Time traveling?
I mean, I would want to come back. I'd want to be able to come back though.
Well, yeah, that's the thing.
Like
It's
quantum leap, like quantum leap type time travel where you're just like stuck forever, just jumping from one thing to the next, and you don't know where you're gonna end up and all that shit. That would
well,
suck.
but it would also suck because, like, in terms of like the story I just said, that one would be kind of
Yeah.
cool because they still have modern technology. But when you put it
Right.
in terms like of Outlander, going back 200 years,
Oh no, yeah, no, I wouldn't want to do that.
yeah.
Fuck no,
Or
and
if I
this color.
did do that, I would want to be able to know ahead of time, and how do I get the fuck out of there? Like, because it would
Right.
be kind of cool to like go back that far and just see what it's like for a minute, and
Right.
then but at the same time, I don't know if I wouldn't as a woman, because
Yeah, we would. You're a woman. I'm a brown dude. We wouldn't do good too
yeah, we
far
would
back.
not do it.
Especially hanging out together. We would get hung or something, dude.
Oh yeah, totally.
Or
I'd get
put to
burned at the
work.
stake. You'd get hung. Yeah,
Yeah, we get put to work doing something. We wouldn't just be living good lives.
no, not.
And then plus, how would we I read that one Nate Bargatze. He has that joke where he's like, if I went back in time, I wouldn't even be able to prove that I was from the future. You know what I mean? Like, oh man,
I
like
don't
cell
know
phones.
anything about
Yeah,
this.
it's like,
Yeah.
oh my god, so dude, one day they're gonna have those in their pocket. Like, how do you do that? Oh, I think satellites. Well, it's a satellite. Oh, well, who's gonna be the next president? I don't fucking know. I don't know who the president was in 1938. You know?
Mm-mm.
Nah, yeah, no.
Okay, so I got some glitch in the matrix stories.
Go
that
for
are on
it.
Reddit.
Go for it. Go for it.
This chick said, I saw my husband come home, but he was 15 minutes away. I've just had a weird experience. My husband said he was going to go out to get some more wood. He's building some decking. I gave him a box to post and he left. About 10 minutes later, I was watering the plants in the garden when I looked up and saw him outside in the car, reversing as if to leave the street again. I thought it was odd that he had come back. I went inside expecting him to come in and say he had forgotten something, but 2 minutes later, no husband. So I checked online to see where he was, and he was 15 minutes away on the way to the DIY store as planned. I texted him and he confirmed that he didn't come back, but I 100% saw him.
Huh. Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. I've had instances like that, but I just chalk it up to I'm like, oh, I'm tripping. I I smoke a lot of weed or something like that. So
I know, yeah, for real. Because there was a commenter. She said, I experienced one very similar to this about a month ago in a suburban area with a curved uphill drive from the road. That afternoon, I saw my husband's distinctive truck come up the driveway. Our giant three dogs got up from their naps and ambled over to the stairs, silent with tails wagging in anticipation. Had it been anyone else near our home, they would have raised. Okay. Had it
then
been
we'll start barking. Yeah.
Yeah, had it been anyone else, they would have just started barking. Or I caught a flash of ruby red and chrome move past the small window in the front door, which meant my husband was backing into his spot. He didn't come into the house right away, so I went back to whatever I was doing. The dogs just sat down and waited. But everything got quiet. There was no sound of a vehicle leaving or entering the driveway, no car doors opening or closing, and no discernible activity out front or in the garage. That is until my actual husband pulled in a few minutes later. When I heard him pull up the driveway and back in his usual spot, I tried to convince myself that he came home and left again. Maybe he forgot to pick up milk or something, but nope, that just wasn't the case. The whole thing felt surreal. Thankfully, the dogs seemed as clueless as I felt. And a commenter was like, yeah, the dogs would know. I feel like their reactions corroborate your story.
No, yeah, for sure. The
I just
dogs.
said corroborate.
Yeah, no, it's cute. It's adorable. Aw, you cooperate.
Corroborate your story.
No, that is true though. Like my dog, like he will bark at like shit that's not even there. Sometimes you're like, God damn it, dude. He's a fucking
Dude, our
barker.
dog would bark at Max coming out of his fucking room.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he barks at the dumbest shit. But then
Yeah.
sometimes I'll see him just like he'll like someone's there, but he won't bark at him. You know what I mean? Like he was like it's someone he knows, but then there'll be no one there. And he does that like all this. Like I think dogs are like they're in a different plane of consciousness or something
Oh,
like that.
totally. Well, and I don't know. I believe that animals completely, yeah, they have consciousness. They can understand you. They know what you're saying. They can
Right.
sense your energy. Like they're not mindless robots, you know?
Right, but the fucked up part though is like most like serial killers or like people that they prefer animal companionship because only animals because they can control them. You know what I mean? As opposed
They
to like
like to kill
regular.
them. Are you kidding me? Serial killers.
Oh, no, I'm saying no, I'm saying a lot of
Go on.
serial killers like love their dog, like have dog. They don't they love their pets because their pets they can control and their pets need them to feed
No, you're
all that stuff.
thinking of psychopaths because
Either
serial
way,
kill pets. Psychopaths, just regular psychopaths who are not dangerous. Yes, they do. They like it because of the power. And sometimes they're obsessed with like apex predators because of the power it represents.
right, but also some psychopaths who are dangerous and have murdered.
Well, they don't. They fucking kill animals, okay?
No, I'm telling you, there's a bunch of serial killers that only have like pets, like a bunch of pigs or a bunch of dogs, because the whole control thing. They can have relationships with these things because they can control them and they need them, and they're not human relationships. You know what I mean? But whatever, we'll get off that topic. That's going way off. I do have a another glitch in the Matrix story though.
Wait,
That kind of
hang on. Wait,
Go
wait,
ahead.
wait. This connects with that.
Yeah, so does mine. So go ahead.
Somebody commented from an article they read, Vardogger. Yeah. Vardogger is a Norwegian word which means the premonitory sound or sight of a person before he arrives. A person is seen or their usual arrival sounds are heard, their footsteps on the path, their keys turning in the lock, their passage along the hall. But when the person who heard these sounds goes to greet whoever they thought they had seen or heard arrive, there's nobody there. A short while later, the sounds are repeated, but are this time indicative of the person's actual physical arrival. By the way, in the case you're wondering about the pronunciation of the word, it's supposedly Vardager. Vardager.
It sounds like you're like Minnesota for Minnesota. Verdager.
Vardager.
Yeah. So what's it called? What's the word again?
God, why do you do this to me? Fucking took a bite of apple because you wanted to tell your part.
I didn't want to. I'm still having a conversation with you.
It's
Why do you
for-
do this to yourself? You do it to yourself.
I know, God, shut up. I know.
I
You
know.
do
I
it to
know.
yourself.
Yeah.
It's Verdager.
Verdager. I just want you to say it again.
Verdager.
Them god dang daggers, not in my community.
Dude, did you remember when we were watching Raiders of the Lost?
Yeah, I saw that post come up on my memories. Yeah.
It was so funny.
You're the best. Yeah.
Yeah,
What was the dude's name? What was the
Sala,
character's
he
name?
was like Indiana was like telling Sala, he's like, you're the
Sala. There we go.
he's like, you're the best digger in Egypt. And you said, what did he say? And
I
I'm
was like,
like, digger
Jesus.
with a D.
Yeah. I was like, I know this movie came out in the 80s and everything. It's supposed to represent the 20s or whatever, but Jesus. Or like the 30s.
I mean, that's kind of aggressive.
Yeah, it's a little bit much, though. Come on, Steven Spielberg. Jesus. Or was it George Lucas? Fuck, I don't remember. George Lucas, right?
Yes.
Okay. But I think Steven Spielberg was involved too. Anyway,
They both were. Yeah, you're right.
yeah, right. And didn't this is way off, but didn't George Lucas like kill someone in one of his movies? Someone died and he couldn't do movies for like a while. Like someone died in a helicopter accident or something like that. All right,
No,
whatever.
that was the helicopter crash in this one movie. Who was the director? Was it Steven?
It was one of those two. It was either Steven Spielberg or George Lucas. I know it was
No,
one
it
of those
had
two.
to have been Steven Spielberg because I don't. Yeah, I can ask ChatGPT.
Do it real quick.
We were completely off. We were so wrong. This happened in 1982. The director
Hmm.
involved in this tragic on-set helicopter crash that killed two child actors and actor
Hmm.
Vic Morrow was
Hmm.
John Landis. That was the director.
Hmm.
The incident occurred July 23rd, 1982, during the filming of Twilight Zone, the movie.
Hmm.
Landis was directing the segment titled Time Out, which featured a scene set during the Vietnam War. In this scene, Morrow's character was attempting to rescue two Vietnamese children, portrayed by 7-year-old Micah Din Lee and 6-year-old Renee Shin Yi Chen. During the shoot, the helicopter flying at low altitude was destabilized by pyrotechnic explosions, causing it to crash and kill all three actors immediately.
Hmm.
The aftermath led to significant legal and industry repercussions. Landis, along with four others, were charged with involuntary manslaughter, the first time a film director faced such charges for an on-set accident. After a 10-month trial, all defendants were acquitted. However, the tragedy prompted widespread changes in the film production safety protocols, particularly concerning the employment of child actors and the use of
Hmm.
special effects.
Yeah, dude, they had child actors doing stunts,
I know, that's crazy.
but George Lucas wasn't involved. Like he one of the four. I know there's some kind of connection with
I don't think he was involved. I
hmm.
don't know. Well, let me look up the movie. Maybe it'll show it on IMDb who each of the people were, you know?
Yeah, yeah. What was it called again?
Twilight Zone, the movie. Will you look this up, David?
Oh yeah, yeah. I was like, I think you said, did you? And I was like, did I what?
Were you gonna tell your glitch, whatever?
Well, no, I'm still. I'll get there, but I need fucking, I need. Hold on.
Answers.
Yeah.
Steven Spielberg was part of it, but that's it.
Okay, so I knew it was one of those guys. I knew it was either Steven Spielberg or George
Yeah.
Lucas.
But
Was
we
part.
weren't yeah, because Steven Spielberg's name sounds like because I remember hearing yeah. That's
Yeah.
why George Lucas no, but Steven Spielberg, I was half right. Yay.
And I think that's why I think that's why George Lucas had to get involved in Indiana Jones because Steven Spielberg was gonna direct it, but then he couldn't because of that whole legal shit. So that's why George Lucas was. That's where they're both in it. I think. I remember hearing. I remember there's some kind of connection as to why George Lucas
Let's
was
look,
on this.
let's look up Indiana Jones. Okay, so which
Right.
one? Because that happened in 1982.
Right. And the first one, the
So
first
it
Indiana
had
Jones
to
was
have
like
been because
80.
84 was when they did Temple of Doom.
Right.
That makes sense because it was 2 years later.
Hmm.
And then the last one wasn't until 89. So I
Right.
bet
When was Raiders?
Raiders was before that. I know.
It was 81, probably some of that.
Yeah, no, it was, yeah. 80. Yeah, you're right. 81. Yeah.
Mm. All right. So before. All right. Give me. We're gonna figure this out, dude. Hold on. Let's see.
But director, there's only one director. So George Lucas.
Okay. So look at it. So if the Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Oh, yeah. Story by George Lucas.
Right. But if you look at the first movie, Raiders of the Lost Ark, it was directed by Steven Spielberg, right? And then if you look at what's the next one called? Temple of Doom? Who was that
Yeah,
one
that's
directed by?
Steven Spielberg as well. He directed all of them.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Well, George Lucas. All
Yeah.
right. Whatever.
Yeah. You didn't crack a case. That's
Ah, damn it. All right,
okay.
fine. Fair enough. Moving on though. Okay, so yeah, so my glitch in the Matrix story. Let me get it was hold on, where's it? Okay. So this one was it says, I answered a phone call that the other person never actually experienced. I was sitting in my office one day when my desk phone rings and it's my undersheriff asking me to bring him all the reports, dispatch logs, and any documentation reference to a specific case so I get it all together and start towards his office. I meet him in the hallway and hand him the paperwork. He asks what it was. I told him it's the XYZ documentation you asked for. He then swears he never asked me for it, that he had just arrived to work and had not called my office, and he was on his way actually to my office right now to ask me to get all this together. Are you there?
Sorry, I'm just thinking about it. That's crazy.
So he got a call from his boss and like, hey, get all this shit together. He did it, and then he goes to hand it to his boss. His boss like, what the fuck is this? And he's like, the shit you asked for. He's like, I haven't asked you for it yet, but thank you. You know?
Yeah. It'd be like, I'm just taking the initiative.
Yeah, I know. Like, God, but that's a creepy initiative, man. How'd you do this?
That's crazy. I found one it was really creepy. This person, a friend of this person's was in Peru where really spooky things happen. Most things related to aliens and people go there for hiking and camping and blah blah blah. He was there camping with some friends. They were all around a bonfire talking. It was already late, so he decided he was going to sleep. He told his friends and went to his tent and he couldn't fall asleep. So like a half hour later, he came out of his tent and walked towards his friend. But when he arrived, he saw himself sitting near the bonfire with all of his friends. All of
Whoa.
his friends were completely shocked and this creature just started running and disappeared into the night.
What
Yeah.
the fuck? It was just a what's it called? Like a doppelganger? No,
Or
what
like
are
a
those things?
shapeshifter or something.
Yeah. But they have they have like a there's a name for them. Like this,
Well,
I
the
want to say it's like
skinwalkers.
some Norwegian name for them. You know what I mean? Fuck, I forgot what it's called. Though. But yeah, that's crazy, dude. And this guy is like swears that this happened.
Yeah, they're in this place in Peru where like really spooky
Peru.
shit
Yeah,
happened.
okay. That makes that check. That kind of tracks.
And yeah, he just goes like yeah, it's crazy.
All
Like
right, so go ahead.
what would you do? You're literally just go take a nap and then you come out of
Right.
your tent and then you see yourself sitting by the fucking campfire. I'm like, am I dead?
I don't even know. And then what his friend like like there had to be more to the story. Like what his friends do.
Well, yeah, the friends saw him and then they saw and then looked, obviously you look back at this fake him and it
Right.
started running.
Did they freaking leave immediately? Did they take charge to the woods and start with axes? Like what did they do? They just said that's fine and just
Well, it doesn't say
yeah, I know.
You don't get
I
any
know.
closure.
I'm trying to speculate and like let my imagination run wild and figure out like what would you do? Like say like we were hanging out and then I'm like, hey guys, I'm gonna go take a nap and then I come back and I'm hanging out with you guys and then I come back again and I'm like, what I mean, what would you do? And then a fake me runs away.
Well, that's the thing is they know that they're in this spooky forest, so they know that crazy shit's gonna happen. So if I go there willingly and I know weird shit,
Okay.
something like that, I don't know, I would get spooked.
That's still really weird though.
Like,
That's
did it mark us now? So now it's gonna come.
yeah, and then oh man, then that kind of reminds me of that show I was telling you about Yellow Jackets. Like we're like, yeah, this happened to them when they were teenagers and stuff like that, and they escaped, but like they still feel like there's something from the woods that's like following them still that like that they are connected with kind of thing. So like yeah, that freaked me out. Like, oh man, is this thing gonna be like connected even when we leave this place? It's still connected to us or something. That would freak me
Yeah,
out.
that's
That's
fucking
all I'm saying.
creepy.
All I'm trying to say is that would freak me the fuck out.
Yeah, well, it's like his friends told him that like 5 minutes after he went to sleep in his tent, that he came back and was talking and laughing with them, like everything was
Like
normal.
he was super awake. Oh man, that was a power nap, huh?
Yeah, they're like, okay, like never mind, I'm not tired.
Like, all right, weirdo.
Fucking creepy.
Fuck yeah, dude. All right, I have one more that I thought was kind of interesting because I feel like this has happened. All right, anyway, I'll just read it. So, my sister swore she had a conversation with me that never occurred in our reality. So I've done that to you several times. Anyway, every once in a while, I have dreams about places or people I've never seen. Then about 6 or 7 months later, I'm in the place or with the people and have deja vu. I also sing random songs even when something else is playing on the radio. Then the next song that plays is what I was singing. I've done this on mine, my best friend's, and my girlfriend's iPods on shuffle many, many, many times, and it freaks them the fuck out every time. One super weird thing, though, happened in about 2012-ish. I was 19 and living at home with my parents and younger sister Still. Okay, and that's not her name. His name's not Still. It's just I came home from work from my job at a barbecue place. And my sister says to me, "Oh, I thought you said you were off today." I'm confused because I left at 5 a.m. before anyone was awake, and I asked her, "When did I say that?" She says to me, like 2 hours ago in your room. She thinks I'm screwing with her, so I tell her to smell me because you can smell the barbecue sauce and smoke on me. Then she gets really creeped out and tells me she went into my room earlier and seen me in bed with covers up to my neck and had a 15-minute conversation with me. That shit really creeped me out, and I never felt comfortable in my room ever again.
God damn, right?
15, like you go into your room and like have a conversation with your son or whatever with Max for 15 minutes. Not a quick like, all right, I'll talk to you later. Like you had a 15-minute conversation, then you find out that he was at work for the last 10 hours or whatever.
I know that's fucking creepy.
Nah, I don't like it.
Yeah, God, fuck that. Okay, so this is a true story that happened to me this past weekend, and it made me feel like I was experiencing a glitch in the Matrix or I'm going crazy.
What are you talking from first
I
person
know.
or is
Yeah, I should have prefaced.
okay? I wasn't sure if you're reading something or you're okay.
Yeah, I'm reading somebody else's
Okay,
story.
so it
I should
was
have
not you.
prefaced with that. I
Okay.
know, because as I'm reading this, I'm like, this sounds like I'm telling the
Yeah,
story.
yeah, it does. I was like, ooh, I was rubbing my hands together excitedly. Yeah.
Yeah. So a few years ago, I purchased two mountain bikes off a government auction website. They were used as police bikes in the local parks and were identical, blue and gray GTs. I resold one and kept one, and the one I kept later got stolen off my patio, but whatever, not the story. I had the one I kept for like 2 or 3 years. Sometimes I would keep them inside in a specific, what the fuck?
Whoa, now you're fucking up specific, huh? All right, cool.
In a Pacific spot.
Yeah, there you go. That's it.
Sometimes I would keep them inside in a specific spot in my apartment. My fiance moved in with me almost 3 years ago when I would still use that one. So my fiance is going through her phone and through her documents and pictures to do some stuff for her resume. No big deal. Then she calls me over and asks me about the bike that I used to have. She shows me a picture of the inside of our apartment where I used to keep the bike, and in the picture there's a red mountain bike in the same spot I usually kept my bike.
Hmm.
She said, "When did you have a red bike?" I never had a red bike. I never rode with anybody, let alone anyone else bring their bike in my place.
Mhm.
It was in the same position as my bike would usually be in. Her and I both swear we never remember having a red bike in the apartment. I definitely never owned a red bike.
Oh, this picture was from inside the apartment?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that is weird. Yeah, it was like a because I know like I have like those places to park your bike like out like on downstairs in my apartment, but they're
Mhm.
not in my apartment. So I mean, someone else could have put a bike there, but if it's in your apartment,
Oh
that's
yeah.
no one else should be putting
Well,
bikes in your apartment.
well, then she says it's, or she, he, whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not in a weird angle or a glare or bad lighting. It's clearly a red and chrome
Right,
mountain bike. And I know it's super dumb situation and unimportant to anything in
right,
my life, but it's been making me feel like I'm going crazy or like there's
right,
some type of glitch in the matrix. Not
right.
sure where else I could share the story. Some of the comments really bugged me. People were like gaslighting him almost like, well, are you sure the angle? Like sometimes,
That's what I was gonna say. Like with pictures, it is kind of like people can always come up with like I know myself personally. I can be like it was the lighting or just a weird shadow or like the angle or like the
or when it's like
contrast
a
or
clear red
right, right,
light, you know what I
right,
mean? Like, 'cause
right,
that's the thing is, in nowhere in his story does he say it's kind of foggy, kind of
right,
this, it kind of, it's like clearly
right.
this,
It's
you know?
clearly red. It's clearly fire truck red.
It's like sometimes it's like, I don't know. And when people are telling stories of weird shit that happens to them, it's weird, okay? Like just take
Just
their
accept
facts
it.
at
Yeah.
face value. Yeah, just accept because it's weird to them too. It doesn't make sense, of course. Stop trying to make sense.
Yeah, that's why I took
Not
to the
making sense.
internet to try to make. They tried to make sense of it by taking to the internet. Be like, hey, does anyone else?
Yeah.
Does this seem
Oh, let me
crazy?
give you some random normal logic.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah.
gee, thanks. I didn't think of that.
Right. Yeah, I know that's the worst. Like, yeah, I didn't go through every logical scenario first before I fucking posted
I
this.
know,
Like,
right?
I've thought
Like
of everything.
this
I've
is the
tried.
first time I thought about all of
Right. Right. I've thought about everything because I'm thinking I'm going crazy. Yeah. Sure. Go ahead.
I found this Reddit and I grabbed it because I've been trying to use this as my thought of the day twice now, and it just was atrocious. So I cut it and used a different thought of the day. But they said it so much better. So here goes. This person says, I hate the use of quote TikTok speech or tick tit.
Yeah. Yeah. Tick tit for the layman.
Tick tit for the tongue tied.
Yeah. Yeah. There it is. Ooh. And you said that very untongue tied. I like it.
Yeah, very clear. Got to be
Yeah.
clear when you're tongue tied.
Yeah.
Clearly. Okay, anyway, it seems to be permeating culture both online and offline, and it drives me mad. Stuff like unalive, pew pew, SA, and grape. These are words associated with very serious subjects. You have people making videos talking about actual heinous crimes saying the man was pew pewed and he unalived later. Grape is the one that annoys me the most because
Mhm.
people just use the grape emoji when talking about horrible, traumatizing events. I
Right.
haven't seen it, but I've heard the word unalive was even used in a Minecraft movie. This trend cannot end soon enough. And then other people are like, it's not only TikTok, but TikTok. I said
Yeah, it's
TikTok.
all of them, dude. You've got top parts on your mind, dude.
Dip and tot and ticks
Yeah,
and
yeah.
okay.
I got some tit tots. That'd be delicious.
Tots. Excuse me, does this burger come with tit tots?
I was trying to come up with a funny fry joke, but I couldn't. No, they only come with something fries, but I couldn't. So don't worry about it. Tick tit's fine. All right, but yeah.
Sounds
So
like a name of a dog. Come here, Tick Tit.
yeah, come here, buddy.
Anyway,
Yeah.
we seem to be getting ad money, and a lot of it, yeah, like a lot of it's because, in order
Because
to
of sponsors, yeah, sponsors won't. So a lot of sponsors have certain rules. Like I know YouTube, for instance, you can't if you post a video, you get demonetized if you cuss within the first like 2 or 5 minutes or something like that. So you have to wait a certain amount of time into your video before you cuss, or they'll demonetize you. So you can have, they could owe you $10,000, but they'll demonetize you because you said fuck in the first 2 minutes. You know what I mean? So people are especially if that's their whole revenue stream. But that's kind of gay though.
it is gay. Like that's fucking stupid. Like that's why, you know what? I don't, that's why even if we only have like, 100 people that we're able to draw an audience.
Very grassroots.
Yeah, like I would rather
I'm fine with that.
than sacrifice,
Right.
who we are.
And then at the end of the day,
am offensive and I
right. And at the end of the day,
shit because it's funny.
at the end of the day, like us being true to ourselves will prevail. I feel so. I'm not willing to drop what we do for
I'm gonna be a little
for money.
shit about it.
Right, dude. Yeah, look, exactly, dude. And yeah, and then like that. A good point too. What they're saying is like they're talking about some heinous shit, dude. They're talking about people being murdered and raped. Get the fuck out of here, raped.
I know, God, yeah.
And then like, hey, and then like you send your friend an emoji like I just graped this. Like, what is this?
I know, well,
fuck is crazy.
This commenter brought up a good point, and I totally agree. It's like I understand the written use online, but I can't stand when people say unalive or such in real life, face-to-face conversation. A lot of the teens I work with do this, and I don't understand why. And someone else made a good point. It's like, oh, it will 100% just be a carryover from using it online and becoming habit to say without thinking about it. Me and my friends were saying LOL in 2000, for example.
Right.
Even though there was absolutely no reason to. And yeah, the real thing is to be upset online is censorship. Kids have grown up using newspeak to get past filters.
Fucking 1984 all over again.
Yeah, I just think it's stupid because it really, to me, it makes no sense because you every word means something. That's how you understand what people are saying and what they mean,
Right.
And so when you're taking the power away from one word and just assigning it to another word, you're still talking about it. Like, is a word really that offensive to you?
Right.
And not the act of it? You're more concerned about the word because people are still talking about it.
Right.
It just makes no sense to me. It's fucking stupid.
Or it's like that Louis C.K. joke where he was like, I hate when someone uses the N word. And I don't mean nigger. I mean says the N word because they're putting that word in your head. Like they're saying the N word, but you're going, oh, they mean nigger, and what they're trying to say.
Yeah,
well, they're making me say it now. They're making me racist, or whatever. So, so yeah, it's like just say the word, and let's get out. And then we all know what you're trying to say, and then and now you just sound like a child who's talking about a heinous crime. No, they got, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, it's ridiculous because it's like. I know, because everybody seems like they just care more about policing your language than what you're talking about. Like, I think, I don't know, people can't wait to be offended by something.
Oh yeah, and then another thing too is like I feel like some people don't want change for the better because then they won't have anything to complain about, no hills to stand on, no soapboxes to write on, and they want something to be agitated about. You know what I mean?
Who are they without their controversy?
Exactly. Who are they without the soapbox? So.
Well, it's the same holds true with like the spiritual community. I mean, shit, like the work I do. A lot of people avoid healing because who am I without my trauma?
Right. And it's another thing too, like with artists who like avoid getting clean because they're like, who am I without the how can I still make art without the substances? You know what I mean?
Fucking smoking cigarettes. I'm like, how do I hang out with people without a cigarette in my hand?
Oh yeah, for the longest time, yeah, or like for that was why I stayed alcoholic so long because I was like, what do I do if I'm not how do I hang out without drinking? I don't get it. You know what I
I
mean?
know. Yeah, me too. It was like my whole identity was wrapped up in drinking and smoking. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, yeah. So, well said. Finally, you got that out, and you got your what you were trying to say succinctly put into words. I like it.
Oh, wait, sorry. I have this quick little comment. This person said, I recently read a published book that had such a phrase in the first chapter or so, like the day my brother unalived himself, or maybe the day my brother got unalived. I had to put it down and hope it didn't phrase it again like that. I can't remember if it appeared again. Like people will literally, yeah, they're putting it in books now. And this person said, I called
Oh,
this.
in books.
Yeah,
Ugh.
this person said, I called the suicide hotline and the operator actually used the term unalive. I didn't call the fucking unalive hotline and I told her as such. If you can't even say the word suicide, how are you going to talk to people with suicidal ideation?
All right, dude.
I know, it's fucking crazy. But anyway, sorry. Okay.
No, no, that was good. Yeah, like, and that's crazy. Like, imagine reading a Stephen King novel, and he's like, "I, the killer unalived." You know what I mean?
Yeah, like
Like,
he raped her and then
yeah,
unalived
raped her and then unalived her by
with his
removing
pew
her
pew.
torso, right, with his pew pew, and then removed her head. Like, okay,
It's like, all right, dude, like it's fucking stupid. But you know
yeah,
what is funny is perhaps that is the direction language is going because look where it was like a couple hundred years ago. Like people
right.
thou and art
I
and
always wonder that too. I'm always wondering like
properly
when did this was it had to have been for instance like when did music go from like ding da ding ding da ding ding da ding ding
do
to like
ass and titties,
right like
ass
how
and
we're like
titties.
there when did it get like how did it progress to that like where was the I guess in the 60s somewhere that shit changed.
I
I don't
like
know.
big butts and I cannot
Yeah, I
laugh.
know. Yeah, dude.
Imagine.
How did it go from ding da ding ding like chambermaids where like they would like four people would dance in a circle with big wigs, and all of a sudden now it's I like big butts. And I remember that video when it came out too. I was like a child, and I was enamored by it.
Oh yeah, I thought it was the coolest video.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was so good. It was. I bet you were in Germany too at the same time. No, you
Uh-huh.
were. Yeah, I remember. I remember being in a Burger King and a Burger King and McDonald's now, a Burger King in Germany, and then seeing that video for the first time, and like it's forever cemented. That's that song is like part of my lineage, if you will.
Well, every time you say remember, I always feel like you should be like "Ruh, ruh, ruh," or like when you say W words, I feel like you should just be like what every
Yeah, I do it
because you
involuntarily
talk
enough.
so fast that I
I
feel
do.
like you should just do that.
I'm from like I grew up around a ton of Mexicans, and so like they talk really fast, especially when they get into Spanish, and then they go back to English. So I guess I picked that up, and I notice how that's why I'm trying to enunciate and be like, yes, the weeks went by, because I know I talk fucking fast, dude, and shit blurs together. Especially when I get on like when I get passionate about something, I'm really feeling the topic. I know words just bleed together.
I
So.
know sometimes I get too excited and I'm like, wait, let me get there.
Right, yeah, same here. We're on the same. We do the same thing, kind of that
Oh,
way.
completely.
We're
Yeah.
just like we just get our minds get ahead of our voices, our words. Too clever, too late, too late.
Too late. Pew, 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 pew. I just wanted to close with this funny story that I found in the Reddit subreddit Fifth World Problems. I fraudulently took out a reverse mortgage on a universe I don't own. Now I'm wanted by God. It is what it sounds like. And to be fair, it wasn't intentional fraud. I had drank something in the neighborhood of 3,678 Modelo Negras and was dared by a friend of mine. I went to the big bank, you know the one, and manifested false ownership documents to a universe in the, I don't know, Omega quadrant.
Sure, okay.
Those idiots agreed to pay me Athol Noel per source.
The apple.
He's such an apple.
Yeah.
Or no, it's a laugh. A laugh. A laugh he came to
What is it? Is that the form of payment? It's a laugh.
and a laugh Noel.
What is it?
And a laugh Noel. I
What
can't
is that? What is it? A laugh, Noel?
this is just it does I don't know. None of this story makes sense.
Oh, okay. I thought that was like the form of payment. They paid him in a laugh,
They
Noels.
did,
Okay,
but it's
gotcha.
spelled ALATH.
Right, a laugh, Noels. Yeah,
A
gotcha.
laugh Noel person. I'm sorry, I just can't say that.
It's
A laugh.
still, I know it's coming and it's still funny.
The problem is that the guy named God owned that universe and was evicted for trespassing on my property.
A guy named God. Some guy named God. Okay.
He's not happy. He revealed something to me about sentencing me to eternal damnation when he finds me. What the fuck do I do?
What the fuck, dude?
And someone said, place the universe underwater and it should cancel the reverse out.
Okay, there we go. Sound advice. What is going on, dude? I remember I saw this. It sounds like I saw this one. I forgot how I got there, but I found this one meth head who had wrote a story about his day, and it was like so well written, but it was like totally from just a meth head perspective. And it sounds like this guy was like something similar. Like this guy was on something. There's no. You think he just was sober and wrote that shit?
I know, right? He was like coming down off of fucking
3,000 Modelo Negros. That's not. How do you even afford that?
Well, clearly he's lying. He would die.
I know. Oh, really? That's what I know. I'm saying, like,
Maybe he did die, and that was his little, going to the brink, and then he like his near-death experience.
right.
He had a near-death experience where he swindled God.
Jesus.
God fellow with a laugh.
Not God, just some guy named God.
My name's God. Can you imagine if somebody named their kid God?
I could see it, dude.
It's pronounced God.
That was interesting.
Yeah. This podcast is not just funny. Sometimes it's informative.
It's informative, yes. Yeah. Very informative.
Yeah.
Well,
sometimes on Sunday. No, that's not it. Some days on Sunday. Sundays at some time. We'll figure it out.
No, it's Sundays at some point.
All right. Sundays at some point. There you go.
I'm keeping all of that in.
Mm-hmm.
Sunday, sometime on Sunday.
I was getting the S's. The S's were there.
And then you're like, we'll work it out. I'm like,
Sunday.
Sunday.
Sundays.
Sunday.
Sundays.